Good evening, Emerald enjoyers. We have arrived at week 6, the penultimate week of the regular season round robin. The fight for a top 4 finish will soon find its fiery finale with many teams still in the hunt for playoffs. Tonight's best of 3 is not one of those fights. The stream is going into Ionia one more time. We're actually going to be looking back at a matchup that was scheduled for week 3. It's going to be Omega Wooper versus the Shadow Cows tonight. More on that later. For now, we will be welcoming 3 more amazing guests onto the show to help me break it all down. Guys, please introduce yourselves. We need your IGN, the team you're playing for, and some kind of reflection on the season. It could be about your team or a different team, anything that you found surprising or exciting, something you liked, didn't like, really whatever comes to mind first. So please go ahead.
All right. Hey guys, it's me, Maze, the second best bot laner and team captain for Monkey's Fever. I think one of the things that I'm kind of reflecting back on for the split so far. It's my first split as a captain, and just kind of seeing like how things have panned out. A lot of my people that I used to know as friends on enemy lines, I would say, and seeing how all that falls. Like, it's been pretty interesting for me so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense if you know a lot of people in the scene, in the league especially, just to see how everybody stacks up. It's definitely fun.
Yep, for sure.
Next up.
Hello, my name is Measurable, also known as Forgive Me. I'm number 1 ADC in Monkey's organization, and I find it surprising how OEE is this garbage in this division.
Yeah, that is something I'm sure we will get to discuss a little bit more later. But for purposes of this podcast, you'd like to go by Measurable? Is that correct?
Yeah, Measurable.
Okay, perfect. But let's go ahead and meet our last guest.
Yo, what's up? I'm Chong Solmo. Most people just call me Chong. Reflection. I played like hot ass in the first 2 weeks, but we're still gonna lock probably second seed in our group because XG Ratatasker is gonna lose to us in the final week of the regular season.
Oh, calling his shot. Okay, well,
I'm coming for you, McFeeds.
Okay, very exciting. Love that. A little bit of extra spice for that week 7 matchup. A bit of a sneak peek there. But I think that does lead us, guys, into our power rankings. First order of business for the show, for the Otter Talk podcast here. So starting with my own rankings, I do think that the Kittens with Mittens are going to make the run here. It looks like a couple of you guys are agreeing with me here. I do think that they are going to pass AK Hearts and be the ones to secure that 4th playoff spot. I just feel like, AK Hearts have had a couple of rough outings the last couple of weeks that we saw them, and the Kittens seem to be ramping up. So that's kind of my assessment of Demacia. But let's hear from you, Maze. What would you like to highlight in this division?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that the top 2 are pretty locked in. Shattered Spire and Spire Cats have, by and large, surprised me on just how well they're doing. NCQ, I believe it's No Quarter Gaming.
Yeah.
No Quarter Gaming. It's a cone team from what I've seen, and they're doing pretty well. It's panning out. I'll be honest. I think the way that I wrote it here versus the way how I would want it to be is kind of panning out differently. I wanted to see Fools 5 and 4th. Solo Mason looks like he performs well. It kind of feels like that there are some shortcomings on the team, and AK Hearts is realistically the one who's probably going to make it into playoffs, but in my heart, I want Fools 5 to overpower Kids with Mittens, but don't think it's happening.
Yeah, I actually saw something the other day. I think it was in general chat. So, my sources on this are not the most ironclad or anything like that. But from my understanding, I think it is actually, unfortunately, impossible for Fools 5 to make it to playoffs, given their current record with only 2 weeks left to play here. I could be mistaken about that, but that is what I had heard. That is my understanding, is that they are actually out of contention, unfortunately.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. But Measurable, over to you.
Yeah, I don't see any way that AK Hearts is gonna be making it to the playoffs after that loss last week. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
there's just no way.
Not looking good for him. And you also have the faith in the Kittens, I guess. Or is it really more of an anti-faith in the AK Hearts. How would you characterize that your kind of view on those two teams?
On Kittens and AK Hearts.
Yeah, yeah.
Um. Yeah. After what was it was Kittens who went against them last week, right?
Let me pull it up really quickly. Last week, yes, it was the Kittens with Mittens took down
Yeah.
AK Hearts 2-1.
I think that was like their chance. That was like the game to get into playoffs, and after they beat them, I think it's pretty much good for them to make it. I don't see how AK would make it.
I completely agree. Trong, you've got a little bit of a different arrangement here. What would you like to highlight in your rankings?
Look, I'll keep it real. I don't pay attention to the other groups as I play in two other leagues, and I also do the crewman show for this on Platinum League tomorrow. So I'm just so busy. I remember AK Hearts played. I think they took a game off Spire when they played earlier in the season, the Shattered Spire, that is. So I thought they were doing better, but apparently I'm wrong. But I do believe in the Kittens with Mittens. I've seen some of these names before in Risen, and they seem like they've just grown as a team playing together, and I believe that they are obviously a stronger team in the group. This is by far the weakest group in Emerald, I believe, but I do think Kittens will make this run and make playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. It's really the more recent results for AK Hearts that have led most of us to be kind of doubters here. But yeah, I think we are all in agreement that the Kittens with Mittens have just been looking better and better as the season progresses. But Chung, what is this about a crewman show? I wasn't aware that I had a show.
I mean, you do everything. You host Otter Talk, you do the cast. I mean, I do the same thing for Platinum, so it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of time commitment, and I respect the work you put in.
Oh, well, I respect you too, sir. Thank you very much. But I think that's going to conclude our discussion of the Demacia power rankings here. Let's go ahead and move on. Looks like we're going to have Noxus coming up next. So for my rankings here, I do still have TFF there in third, just behind Syndicate. I don't think TFF are going to be able to catch Syndicate by the end of the round robin here. But really, the thing that I wanted to highlight from my rankings is the fact that I correctly predicted the downfall of the final boss teams. And both of those teams have really been struggling recently. So I'm feeling pretty vindicated about that. Maze?
All right, yeah. I mean, this is the power rankings, not the standings, I would say. Right. So for here, seeing last week especially, a lot of those TFF roster changes. Like, Chung, you might be able to go more into it, but it's looking pretty positive. I think, I played with Rutledge before last split. We won or made, finals for 2 of the 3 leagues we played for. He's a pretty good mid laner. Despite the Fearless memes, we all suffer from that. I think that going into this, that might just be the edge over Crashouts. And that's why I put them, I think, a little bit higher than everyone else here today.
Wow, so a lot of faith in Rutledge specifically, going back to the mid lane and really predicting him to be a point of power for TFF. I can definitely appreciate that. I mean, Rutledge looked really good last week. That was, of course, our streamed matchup in Week 5 was TFF taking down final boss Rebirth. That was 2-0 for TFF. And Rutledge definitely looked really good. Was able to pull out the Void Squid. I believe that was in game number 1. One of those games. And looked really good on it for sure. Yeah. But let's move on over to Measurable. What would you like to highlight in these Noxus rankings?
Syndicate overrated.
Yeah. You do have Syndicate ranked the lowest out of all of us. Why are they overrated?
It was based off of the latest scrim we had, and plus their roster issues that they're having. I just feel like it's just there's just no way. There's just no way. I do think they'll make playoffs, but I don't think. Yeah.
What are these roster issues? I haven't heard about this. What roster issues are they having?
They had a sub for our scrim. I don't know if it's a roster issue, but okay. Yeah,
right.
I'm not sure.
So we're not really sure. But playing with some other people in scrims and this sort of thing definitely could mean that they're having some scheduling conflicts at the very least, or things like this. So yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. But Chong, our resident TFF player, what are your thoughts on these rankings?
I only put Syndicate over us just because, based on standings, I do think if we played them with our current roster, we'd beat them. I do think Spuds is overrated and likes to run his mouth, but I don't think that team is that good. When we played them in week 1, just with our old roster, he says it was a stomp. Games are a lot closer than they look. It was just early games are even. We lost some mid game fights, but I do think they're definitely overrated and overhyped. I think XG clears them. I think XG beats us. I'll keep it a buck, but I'm gonna run my mouth and be confident and say we beat XG. But I think like overall, it's kind of obvious the power ratings for Noxus. It's pretty clear cut who the like top 3 are, and then like everybody else below that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would be inclined to agree on all points pretty much. You know, that matchup in week 1 was also streamed, that battle between you guys and Syndicate. And I agree, those games were definitely pretty close. I was definitely impressed by how scrappy you guys were. It just felt like you kind of got out macroed in some key moments. And yeah, a couple of key team fights in the mid game didn't quite end up breaking your way. But yeah, you guys have definitely been another squad that's been ramping up over the course of the season. So I'm excited to see how that all shapes up as we do move into the playoffs. But for now, let's go ahead and move into our next division. Ionia going to be up next, guys. So taking a look at my rankings, starting us off once again, I do have, and I had them up there in second place last week as well, but I do have the Conduit Gremlins right now as the second strongest team in this division, which is pretty surprising. You know, a lot of people before the season started were kind of calling this the group of death, you know, predicting this to be a group that was full of these really powerful teams. But with the downfall rather of Optimal Esports and, you know, Dorado looking pretty hit or miss, I do think that the Conduit Gremlins have a really strong case for that second place spot. Looks like you guys all have them in third, though, behind both of the Monkey squads. Maze, let's hear from you next.
I don't know. I don't know what Measurable and Chung are drinking or something. Like,
yeah, that's some interesting stuff.
I would not put Shadow Cows in the 5th personally. I am Gigahopium though, so maybe I'm just a little bit delusional putting OE in 4th, because I think the Espada rankings or whatever came out, and I think he put it at like a 10% chance. I think if tonight goes well for Reformed, and if next week goes well for OEE, they might make it, but it's pretty dire. And I'll be 100% honest, I think that the old OEE roster was on paper stronger, although it kind of seems like that isn't really panning out. Gremlins though, 100%. Like, I think going in from week 1 or even like before the season started, just kind of seeing how things would pan out. Like, if you had to write, like, gun to your head, what are the 4 teams that are making it? I would not put Gremlins top 3 even. And looking at it now, I mean, they've definitely proven themselves to be a contender for the split, or for the group. My bad.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, this group is really interesting. You know, for Optimal Esports, you were kind of highlighting them. Their opponent for week 6 is the Shadow Cows. You know, we just learned right before going live that apparently the Shadow Cows are actually going to be playing Omega Wooper tonight in our streamed match. So I'm not sure when that battle between the Shadow Cows and Optimal Esports is going to be happening, but you have to assume that's going to happen in the next few days. And, you know, Optimal Esports, you have to imagine, should still be favored against the Shadow Cows, despite everything that's happened and the roster changes and everything. It still feels like a very winnable match for them. And then their week 7 opponent for Optimal Esports is going to be Dorado Gaming. So for me, I am predicting that to kind of be the fight for the last playoff spot, for that 4th place spot. You know, Dorado Gaming, their opponent tonight, are the Reformed Monkeys, a match that they are, you know, expected to lose, most likely. So, you know, if Optimal Esports manage to get the win, they're going to have a tenuous hold on 4th place going into that week 7 matchup between those 2 teams. So that is definitely something that I am keeping a very close eye on. But for now, let's go ahead and move on. Measurable, your thoughts?
I think Chong and I would agree that Optimal Esports is just not doing good this season at all. Like, they've just been horrible. I 100% believe that Shadow Cows will definitely beat them in this upcoming game. It's just like, there's so many roster issues with that team, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt, I think, that Optimal Esports have been performing far below expectations that everyone had for that roster. But predicting the winless Shadow Cows to be able to take them down, I think is pretty interesting. But Trong, you seem to be on the same page. as
Yeah.
Mr. Measurable here.
So yeah, I actually played with Shadow Cows for a little bit last age split, and I believe in DJ Zeller to do something. But also, I just think this OEE roster is in straight up shambles. Like I don't know, names to paper, you expect them to be good, but like it just has not been clicking at all for them. I don't know what's going on over there, and I think half of that team is trying to run it back again in Aegis, and I think it's just gonna crash and burn again. Honestly, I think it's a lot of ego on that roster, and it's really hard to maintain. But I'm gonna shout out the jungler for Conduit Gremlins. Penny, he's like actually one of the best junglers in Emerald, and I'm not even exaggerating. This dude is actually insane. I play with him in Titan. This dude is cracked.
Yeah, definitely. And Pine, I think I was doing some prep for Gremlins tonight, expecting to cast their match, but we do have Espada ranking Pine pretty highly as well. Has him at the 9th best jungler in the entire league. Pine. So I think a lot of people have been really impressed. You know, he was, I'm going to assume it's the same player with a little bit of a name change because the jungler for Gremlins in the Plat League last season was Pine Foimal. I'm just going to assume it's the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same dude.
Yeah. He had a great showing, last split in Plat when they were able to dominate that league as well. So I'm with you. Definitely a very impressive jungler in my eyes. But I think that's enough shade thrown towards Optimal Esports for one podcast. Let's go ahead and move on to our last division. The Freljord division, of course, last but not least. So I am the only one, interesting, who does actually still have Tilt Esports in the #1 spot. Very fair to you guys. I mean, Elysium on Ice did take down Tilt Esports last week and are now first place in the standings. So very, very fair. And, maybe you're actually making me second guess where I have those teams placed right now. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing that I would highlight from this division is just kind of that fight for first between Tilt and Elysium has been really exciting to watch.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'll be honest, I think I would still make Tilt the higher ranked team against most matchups. It might just kind of be like a rock, paper, scissors kind of position where maybe they can beat out every other team, but then just Elysium on Ice just has their number or something. Or is there something special about them that might make them win? And I can see Tilt making it really far, but I think if they had to go up against Elysium one more time, I don't think it's in their favor. So I think if there's someone coming out of it and someone going to be there in the semifinals, like looking for a chip there, I'm putting my money on Elysium.
Yeah, very fair, very fair. Let's move on to you, Measurable.
Yeah, the same with Maze. I think Tilt will definitely lose against Elysium. But the reason why I put Mint below was it Thunderclap? What is it?
The Thunder Raptors, Elysian
Thunder
Thunder
Raptor?
Raptors. Yeah.
It's because their win against them. It's just like
Yeah.
I definitely
Very
see
fair.
them get into the playoffs after that win.
Yeah, Mint is another team that has kind of really been struggling. It feels like more and more as the season progresses. They're just kind of faltering in a lot of these matchups, particularly matchups against even some of the weaker teams in this division. That people preseason expectations would have them beating. They often struggle. So yeah, I think that's very fair to have. I also have Mint, as you can see, in 5th outside of playoffs right now. I did want to take a second to pull up the post-game screenshots from that match last week between Elysium on Ice and Tilt Esports just to see. And those games were all pretty close. I mean, every single one of those games was over 30 minutes. And there were, definitely a lot of kills going every which way. So, in the games they won, Elysium were a little bit more dominant, I guess. They did have some higher kill counts in those games, but I do think that Tilt Esports, at the very least, can still be considered a strong team, in thinking about the whole league, comparing them to. But, yeah, Trong, last but not least for the Freljord rankings here, what are your thoughts? What would you like to highlight?
I mean, I just agree with everyone. I think Elysium is like the top team. I think Dilly's cracked. I think this Argon team, like To the Moon, is kind of surprising to me. I feel like this group was like the least known out of all of them coming in with just all the players that are on paper and a lot of like new orgs and faces. Like you have 4 known orgs, and like one of them being Clown Gaming Blood Moon, who just crashed and burned, and like I don't know. I just feel like you have your clear cut top 2, top 3, and then it's like just a cluster underneath them. And I think obviously it's like Mint or Thunder Raptors for the 4th spot. Even though I put Thunder Raptors last, ignore that. But I literally think like anything could happen in this group for like that last spot, and who knows what's gonna end up here.
Definitely. I did have a little bit of an interesting note about Clown Gaming specifically. I was talking to Wookie Monster, the mid laner for that squad, earlier today, and he actually informed me that he is no longer the mid laner for that squad. He has left the team, and so has everyone else. Apparently, it is a completely new roster, 5 different players on Clown Gaming than what they had at the beginning of the season. So just an interesting note there. Coming in this late, I really don't know if they're going to be able to pull something together with these last couple of weeks, but just a funny thing to point out, I think.
Yeah, I heard the same thing because I play with their old AD carry. I heard that whole roster just imploded out of nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much. But let's go ahead and move on now, guys, to the matchups. This week's matchups, we're going to be discussing, moving back over to Demacia to start us out here, and would you look at that? We are all predicting it to be the week of the Kitty Cats. Claws are out, guys, or what?
For sure. I mean, Spires, I don't think anyone's really contesting that. Let me just look at this one again. For week 6, it was Kitty Cats versus Niner Esports. I mean, this is a team that, if any of them are going to make it to playoffs, it's more likely to be Kittens, and I don't even think Niners are a contender for that position anymore. I think, if anything, it's just kind of looking... it's less of an argument of if they're going to win, and just, is it going to be a 2-0 or 2-1? And I'm saying 2-0.
Yeah. I think that makes sense to predict the Kittens to pick up the 2-0 over Niner. It's interesting as well, because that's going to lead the Kittens into their last matchup of the season. In week 7, they're going to be playing against the number 1 team in the division, Shattered Spire. So we'll see if the Kittens are going to be able to get anything done against that currently number 1 ranked team next week. But this should be a pretty easy one for them. But moving on to a different matchup. I guess Maze decided to start down there at the bottom. So Measurable, we'll have you go up towards the top here. It's going to be this week, Shattered Spire is playing against No Quarter Gaming. Obviously, all of us predicting Shattered Spire. Do you think this one's going to be close?
No, it's a definitely 2-0 for Shattered Spire based on how well they've been doing. I don't see them winning at all.
Yeah,
yeah.
No Quarter Gaming has also been performing relatively well recently. Last week they did pick up the 2-0 over Fools 5. And the week before that, they got the 2-0 against Niner Esports. So, a couple of weaker teams, obviously. And Shattered Spire have been looking pretty good against the rest of their division this season so far. But, No Quarter Gaming, they're at least on a little bit of a hot streak right now. Maybe momentum will be enough to at least get them a game win. But sounds like that is not what you are predicting, which I think is absolutely fair. But our last matchup here for Demacia, it's going to be the Spire Cats versus AK Hearts. Chong, what do you think?
I mean, I think, like we said before, Spire Cats is clearly the second best team in this league. I do think, AK could possibly take a game off them, depending on how they show up tonight. But, all in all, I do think Spire Cats should just 2-0 this to, show how strong they are moving into playoffs. Because I know a lot of people coming out of this are going to be talking about how both Spire teams are frauds because they got an easier group.
Yeah. It does kind of feel that way, right? Where this Demacia group, compared to a lot of the top teams in other groups, the Spire teams don't really feel like they've been tested as much, right? So that is definitely something to keep an eye on as we do move in towards playoffs. But I do think that, AK Hearts, we were talking about before, struggling recently. I think this is going to be a really hard matchup for them against the Spire Cats. Let's move on to Noxus, if you could, Mr. Producer. All good. So here we are, fully aligned again, guys. So somebody has got to have a different prediction sooner or later. But Maze, let's come to you to start this one off once again. We do have Syndicate Crash Outs up against Maelstrom Esports. I guess there's not too much to talk about here, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading the writing on the wall as I see it. It's I wouldn't say it's too great for any of the teams that are not winning tonight. It's kind of set in stone. The only one where it's possibly close, I would say, is going to be the TFF Aftershock versus Dynasty.
Right.
I think that with the roster changes, it is looking better. It is also a lot less practice for this split. So it might just be a little bit harder for you guys to execute on that. I think even so, how do you say the XG's name? I always say it to my team as Rotato Skater, and it's not that.
It's Ratatasker. It's a squirrel god.
Okay, XG Rotato I believe is going to be cleaning it out, and Crash Outs. I mean, I played with Zoe before as well. Like, these are all good players. I'm going to be looking at TFF Aftershock and seeing how they perform tonight.
Yeah, maybe we should just all mostly focus on that matchup with TFF Aftershock and Dynasty. Because, the other one here, XG is going up against Final Boss Rebirth. Final Boss Rebirth, another team that's really been struggling recently. They've had, 3 losses in a row, I think. They lost, of course, to TFF last week. The week before that, they lost to Dynasty. The week before that, they barely beat out Maelstrom Esports 2-1. So... yeah, Final Boss Rebirth definitely been struggling. XG, easily the best team in the division. So measurable, unless you had anything else you wanted to add there, let's just hear your thoughts on that TFF Dynasty matchup.
I'm not sure how this matchup is. I just think that TFF will win because they're placed higher in the standings. I'm not sure how this
Fair
will
enough.
go.
He was
Yeah.
paid
Fair
out.
enough. Well, Chung, as much as you're willing to share with us, if you could explain in just a little bit more detail how exactly you're planning to take down Dynasty tonight.
Easy. I think we just gap them in every position. I
Oh.
love my family at Dynasty. Jordan, their jungler. She's my daughter. I love that kid. But I've been DMing her all week saying, sending her the GIF from Star Wars saying, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it because I'm gonna have to beat the crap out of him in 2-0 tonight. It's gonna be a clean
Man.
victory across the whole map.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you guys are definitely coming off that very decisive win against Final Boss Rebirth last week. So you guys have got some solid momentum. The new roster is looking good. And we are all aligned here in predicting you to take down Dynasty tonight. So we'll see if that does end up coming to pass, if you are able to do what needs to be done, Chong. But for now, let's move on to our next division, our next group of matchups here. Of course, moving to Ionia next. So, it seems like some of these matches are actually not going to be played tonight, given the fact that we are doing the Woopers versus the Shadow Cows instead. So, keeping that in mind, we are at some point going to be having the Conduit Gremlins playing against the aforementioned Woopers, and we are all predicting, whenever that match does happen, the Gremlins to win it. So, let's start at the end of this time. Let's hear from you, Chong, about how the Gremlins are going to be taking down the Woopers. Should be probably a pretty one-sided one, unless you have other thoughts.
Nah, I think it should be one-sided. I know 80% of the roster playing as a former Conduit player as well. I think Vidyarthi their support is definitely kind of sort of underrated. I think he's really good, and I think when he's on. He's like a top support, but he can flounder at times. And I think just lane for lane, Gremlins is just better than Wooper, and I feel like if they want to prove that they should be a playoff team and secure a spot for themselves, they gotta 2-0 Woopers when that time comes around.
Yeah. So I'm not completely sure if the Gremlins are 100% mathematically locked into playoffs already. But if they take down the Woopers, then they absolutely would be. So if they're able to do so decisively, then that's going to quiet, any doubts, I think, that people may still have about this promoted roster. And, Espada, as I already mentioned earlier on, as well as rating a lot of these players, particularly the top side, extremely highly. I already mentioned Pine at number 9, and then he has Lordy Soma, the top laner for the Gremlins, at number 2 overall. Throughout the entire league, Lordy Soma, he has ranked as the number 2 top laner, and then the mid laner, YOLO Swag, he has ranked at number 5. So definitely these players have really impressed many of us, I think, already this season, and it's exciting to see what they're going to look like as we do move in towards playoffs. But let's go ahead and move on to our next matchup to discuss here. The Monkeys Reformed versus Dorado Gaming Epsilon. So Dorado Gaming is one of the teams trying to fight for that last playoff spot here in Ionia. This is going to be a really tough matchup for them. As you can see, guys, all of us here predicting the Reformed Monkeys to take it. Measurable, if you would like to go into a little bit more detail.
As you all know, I am on the Reform Monkeys,
Oh, yes.
but I will say I think it will be a tough game just based off of the mid lane matchup, Cyclone versus Ninja. I do think it'll be tough, and I'll think it'd be based the outcome will be based on that mid lane matchup. But so far as the other lanes, I think it's pretty much Reformed wins all of those. Other than mid lane is kind of like up to grabs. Whoever wins mid lane basically wins the game. Basically, yeah.
Okay, so you do actually, you're respecting your opponents here, is what it sounds like. You do think that the Dorado Gaming have the capabilities, if they show up and play their best game, to take you guys down.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they could beat us.
Okay, well, that is very interesting. So I'll definitely be looking out for those post-game screenshots as they do come in to see what went down. But Maze, coming to you last here, our feverish monkey in the call, but I'm going to have you chime in here on this Optimal Esports Shadow Cows matchup. So again, it sounds like this matchup is actually not going to be played tonight. Whenever it does happen, though, I am predicting, and most of you guys are predicting as well, Optimal Esports to actually get this done against the Shadow Cows, the winless Shadow Cows. But Maze, if you'd like to elaborate a little bit more, and then we're going to hear from Chong again as well about why he thinks the Shadow Cows are going to take this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it kind of sucks to say, but these are two teams near the bottom. But even then, looking at Enigma, there is some part of me that I want to keep hoping that these guys can do a bit more. And then I think that if it doesn't pan out like this, where OEE wins, or in this matchup, then I don't want to say all hope is lost for this team, but I think they're out of playoffs if they don't make this matchup work out for them.
Oh, yeah, I think that's absolutely right.
I think that it's kind of like on the wire here, but this is less of a I think they're going to win, and this is more of a they need to win tonight in order to keep going.
Okay. Well, Chong, let's hear from you again as well about this.
Yeah, I'm just going to root for my boys at Shadow Cows. I mean, OE has been floundering. Like, you got names on paper, and like it just has not seemed to be working. And EP all day was saying he hopes that they lose so he can just be eliminated from playoffs at this point. So
yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
So it seems like the feelings and just high that OE was coming in on at the season has just crashed out and burned. And I mean, hey, maybe Shadow Cow steals one off and eliminates them from playoffs and shows up, but that's what I'm hoping for. I'm gonna root for the guys until they're eliminated.
Yeah, and the Shadow Cows as well. I think it would be great for them to pick up a win. They've got such a cool team name. I'm a fan of like the purple logo as well. It really stands out nicely. So I think getting at least one win on the board would be great for them. And it's interesting as well because we actually had Chris, the former Optimal Esports jungler, was on Otter Talk with us last week, and he was kind of saying something a little bit similar to the feelings that you guys are kind of expressing here, where it didn't really sound like him leaving the team was necessarily his idea. They kind of pushed him out a little bit, and his expectations for them being able to like rebuild and make a run at the end of the season here were pretty low. He didn't really have any faith in their ability to actually make that happen. So we'll see. I mean, I think those residual expectations are still leading a lot of us to believe they should be favored against the Shadow Cows in this matchup, but it really could go either way. So that is definitely going to be something interesting to track. But let's move on to, I believe we have one more division still of matchups to discuss. Here comes the Freljord division. So to start us off here in the Freljord, we are going to have TTM going up against those Thunder Raptors. Maze, what do you think about this one?
Oh, what was it? Yeah, I mean, I just think that TTM, I'm not really looking at their games too much. It's mostly my bad for Freljord in general. But I think just on paper, looking at the stats, I kind of have TTM rated a little bit higher than Elysian, and I think for that reason alone, I just kind of put them in there to win.
Yeah, totally. We did actually have Taunty 2K, the top laner for TTM. He was on, I believe, the first or second episode of Otter Talk that we did this season. And he was, had really high expectations for the team. He thought they were going to be second in the division behind Tilt. So obviously things aren't quite going that well for the squad, as they are in third right now, I believe, behind both Tilt and Elysium. But overall, I do think that, TTM had high expectations at the start of the season, and they've been able to perform pretty well overall, at least compared to most of their division, which has been great to see. But
for sure.
Measurable. Your matchup discussed here, Tilt Esports versus Hydro Pump. I don't think there's too much to say here. So if you want to also chime in on Elysium versus Mint, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I just I think I don't know. I just copy Maze. I don't really know about this matchup.
That's fair. Yeah, I think these are a lot of one-sided matchups that we're predicting this week here in the Freljord division. Hydro Pump Zebra, their only win this season has been against the struggling Clowns. And, Elysium, after taking down the top dogs last week, going up against a Mint Gaming, another team who's been struggling, should also be pretty one-sided. But Strong, any thoughts you wanted to add on either of these two matchups?
I mean, I think the closest one is TTM and Thunder Raptors. If there's going to be any upset, it's going to be that one. But otherwise, you can just chalk it up to the top three teams are going to be the bottom three teams, and we're just going to move on to next week and see which bottom team fights in for that playoff spot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's pretty much how things are looking this week in the Freljord. I think we maybe have time for one hot take. I want to discuss your hot take, actually, Chunk Somo, that the Monkey Fever are going to lose to the bye week.
Yeah.
So this is something that has come up before on Otter Talk. The bye weeks can be a little bit dangerous. If you had momentum, you can lose that momentum, or you can get some bad practice, or whatever the case may be. And then Monkey's Fever are going to be going up against those Conduit Gremlins, one of those other really strong teams in Ionia in Week 7, in the last week of play here. So let's hear from, our Feverish Monkey is you, right, Maze?
Yes, sir.
So let's hear from Measurable first here, of course, on what you predict is going to happen here with the bye week for the Feverish Monkeys. Is it going to negatively impact them, or how do you think this is going to affect, the team going into that Week 7 matchup?
I do think Fever will win, but it will definitely be very tough. Conduit did take a game off of us, and we 2-0'd Fever, so it's definitely going to be I wouldn't be surprised if Gremlins definitely won this matchup. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Chung, if you want to elaborate on your take at all, and your further extended thoughts here.
I just think, I was putting it as a meme, saying Monkey Fever is going to catch a cold in the bye week and come in cold instead of being feverish. But I do think a bye week at the end of the season is really bad for a team's momentum. And Conduit's been playing well, so, I mean, if they stay hot and Monkey Fever's coming out of the bye week cold, they're going to lose second spot to Gremlins. And it's possible with the way Gremlins has been playing. I do think Monkey's Fever is going to be fine. Put it in there as a meme, but it definitely gets the conversation going.
It does. I'm glad we had a little bit of time to discuss this at the end of the episode here. But Maze, let's hear from you now. How are you going to make sure that the team is not, losing their momentum here to the bye week and is going to be able to come in strong against the Gremlins?
Firstly, we have Terps in Australia right now, so he's experiencing summer, so it's still hot for him. We're keeping it warm there. Nice. Second of all, we're bringing up some stats, but we're looking pretty good recently, and I wouldn't go past that. We have me and my support and the hyperbolic time chamber practicing some secret combos for next week. So although it is a bye week, I wouldn't necessarily call it a free a vacation week for any of us. And just look at us into next week, and we'll be looking pretty strong.
Glad to hear that you guys are still grinding, not getting complacent right with the week off here. I think that's very important. And that is definitely going to be another one of those really hype matchups in Week 7, that matchup between you guys and the Gremlins. That's going to be a really fun one to look out for. But
I
that's going
can
to pretty
say-
much
oh.
do it. Oh, go ahead. One
I
last
was gonna
word.
say, my hot take is that Gremlins was pretty fraudulent, and I guess we'll figure that out next week. That's all I
We
gotta
will.
say.
We will.
That's all I gotta say.
But we do just have time for some shout outs now, guys. So, Maze, you first. Any shout outs you have? Words for the stream?
Of course. Shout out to Epi for holding it together and still being here at the end of it. I love you, bro. Put me in your roster next time.
Fantastic. Measurable, your shout outs?
Shout out Paco Paul. Thank you for putting me on your team and poaching me from Syndicate. Appreciate it.
Wholesome. Very wholesome. Trong, last but not least, your shout outs, please.
Yeah, shout out all my haters. Keep hating. But otherwise, shout out, BOL, and also come on by tomorrow. Check me out hosting Otter Talk and the casting for Plat League.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'll be sure to remind everybody at the end of the stream as well that they should be doing that. So, good looks, Trong. Thank you guys all very much for joining us for this week of Otter Talk. Guys, we're going to go to a short break now. When we come back, the, week 3 rescheduled matchup between Omega Wooper and Shadow Cow. See you there. Okay, BOL Billies, welcome back from the break. We've had our Otter Talk appetizer. It is now time to order the main course. Our entree this evening will be a best of 3 between Omega Wooper and the Shadow Cows. This matchup rescheduled from week 3. Unfortunately, both of these teams really been struggling quite a lot this season. Neither one able to pick up a single match win up until this point, but that will change today. My name is Crewman44. I am graced once again this week by the presence of my regular co-caster, the gallant Gitano. My friend, how was your week off?
It was good. I had my birthday here past Sunday, so hung out with my parents, my wife, had some pizza, went to a winery, did some shenanigans with some friends, got bailed out on Monday. We were good to go.
Amazing, amazing. I'm glad you enjoyed your bye week there, Gitano. And this is going to be an interesting one, obviously. So the Omega Whoopers versus the Shadow Cows. As I already mentioned, both of these teams have been winless up until this point. It does seem like we are missing some bans. So I didn't quite get caught up on this. Okay, so we actually do have bans, but they're just not appearing on the... There we go. Okay, there are some bans that we weren't able to see previously. Shadow Cows on the blue side. To start this one off, Gitano, Cassiopeia, and Lux can get banned away right off rip here. And it looks like Amumu and Ari is banned away on the red side.
Yeah, some interesting champ choices. Nothing too OP, in the patch notes, but more of maybe some comfort picks. I don't see a lot of Cassiopeia, but usually when people bring it out, it's quite fun, but also a little broken. You don't need boots. And those who always forget boots, Cassiopeia is your bread and butter, because who would need them? But then I feel like Nami should have them, like Arisen
Yeah,
Soul
it
should
does get a bit weird,
gets into
doesn't
that
it? Yeah,
weird
you
thing,
don't want to go
like,
too far
who
down
needs
that rabbit
these?
hole. Didn't somebody pull out Cassio at Worlds, actually? I feel like I remember somebody playing it at the tournament. Do
Probably
you know?
Faker. I'm guessing. I did
I
not
don't
see any,
think it was
but
Faker.
Faker could probably
I don't
pull
know.
out Teemo mid, and everyone would
Oh,
just be
I
like,
mean,
"Yes,
I'm sure he
hype
could
train."
if he wanted to, yeah. But yeah, we'll hold off on the speculation about what Faker's going to pick. But either way, all that aside, we do have Brahmin, Nico to round out our bands, and Seraphine on the B1. So a little bit of a flex pick there for the Shadow Cows. Seraphine, a champion that has been pretty common. I would say this season of BOL, a lot of different teams pulling this out. Something else that I actually wanted to mention, Gaetano, before we really get too deep into this draft, is the fact that we've been seeing a lot of teams, play mages in the bot lane, in the AP carry position. We've been seeing a AP champions bot. So that is something I'm very curious to see if we are going to see again tonight.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I've seen a lot of, people play Zoe, Vex, like even Anivia, some of these weird champions lately as people are doing that. And, by all means, if you have the correct matchup, it works super well. If you're against like a Senna Caitlyn where they have a whole bunch of range, but you really need to deal some burst damage, find some really nice long range stuns. Some of these, tanks aren't able to do that. If you have the Thresh, you can't land hooks. Blitzcrank, if he's banned out, your mana starving on that type of thing. So it really depends kind of where your matchup is favored here into those things. But I mean, I'd be interested. That's more action for us and better casting.
It certainly can be, yeah. A lot of mages do like to scale up a little bit more into the game as well, but it just depends, right? It depends on the matchup, like you were just saying. But we do have the Jhin coming through here on the R2, so that is going to make it significantly less likely that the Whoopers are going to be playing that Syndra in the bottom lane, most likely going into mid in the hands of Ishan. And we do have Nocturne and Ashe on the other side here. So Ashe and Seraphine's a pretty classic pairing in the 2v2 down there. That can be really powerful. And the Nocturne paired up alongside means the Shadow Cows have the makings of a pretty powerful pick composition.
Yeah, right now having that Ashe arrow, the more length that arrow drives, the longer the stun. So allowing Nocturne to really kind of feast upon that and really kind of holding off on his paranoia, if needed to get to there. And Seraphine Ashe, like you just stated, a great wombo combo, then kind of really lock you down and sustain throughout the entire lane as you're, being bullied by that Ashe. But I do like the the J4 pickup here. You have two immobiles already, Seraphine and Ash, and it kind of really dictates to make sure that mid has a little bit more mobility, maybe even a gap closing somewhere in the midst of that, or something to jump over in case you do get the stadium put around you, and now you have nowhere to go, unfortunately. So I'm also liking some of these bans here, Shen and Malphite coming in. I know a lot of people have been picking up Shen lately, especially Heartsteel, T-Mat, first items, and then starting to roam around. And I think that's also a really good pick out from that Nocturne as well, because a Nocturne alt plus a Shen alt, if you grab a TF or a Galio on top of that, that could be a dangerous universal alt.
Yeah, definitely the case. I think that the Shen ban does work pretty well here. Like you say, really powerful combo with the Nocturne, something that the Woopers definitely wanted to deny from their opponents. So that all feels pretty good. Going for the Ornn here on the R4. So blind pick for the top lane. They want to save that R5 pick for their support player. Very interesting, despite the fact that it's most likely going to be Ashe Seraphine down there towards the bottom lane. That's a little bit curious for me. Maybe they just really feel like their top laner doesn't have the depth of champion pool to actually make effective use of that counter pick, and they just wanted to secure Ornn as like a priority pick. What do you make of it?
Yeah, and it could be, they might be thinking the Seraphine's a flex, but even if it is, I think the Syndra should be able to handle it. So I agree where maybe, Ornn should have been picked last, but it also depends kind of what you're facing here. And the Mordekaiser pick, I'm really not liking it now after seeing that. And I do see the Galio that I mentioned earlier too, a nice universal pick as well here. So a lot of 4-1ing I'm imagining here. Mordekaiser off on the side lane, and as I'm looking a little bit more of this Mordekaiser, I'm wondering who's going to answer him if he does get fed, or if he does take a lead here. You don't want to take Jhin or Syndra up there in case they get ulted. That's kind of game over.
Right.
And unless J4's build path can, sustain and take out the Mordekaiser, there's not a lot of wiggle room for them. So I'm hoping to see a lot of priority top side here with that Mordekaiser and Zyra to round out that final pick, as you stated here, for the support.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely a lot of interesting things to kind of consider here. I definitely do agree that the Mordekaiser is probably going to be very difficult for the Woopers to match in the side lane later on. That does feel really powerful. And, with the Nocturne and the Galio as well, like you mentioned, that just is sort of going to enhance the Shadow Cow's ability to play towards that side lane even further. But the Zyra coming through here on the R5, this is what the Woopers traded for, basically. Going for the Ornn a little bit earlier on, they got the counterpick Zyra here to be paired up alongside the Jhin. So let's discuss this bot lane 2v2 a little bit, Gitano. Jhin.
I'm expecting a lot of poke. The Seraphine Ash already bring enough into itself. You're hoping for Zyra to hit that root, Jhin follow up, as well with his, and hopefully J4's around to kind of follow it up here. So it depends what kind of runes we're going to be seeing out of them too, is how well the sustain lane is going to go. But a lot of focus, I believe, is going to be attempted towards this bot lane, and very early too. I know every time we see that J4, we get super excited about early plays and ganks, but we haven't seen it quite just yet. But my prediction would be J4 starting topside red, working his way down, find something at level 4, and really kind of get that bot lane ahead.
Yeah. I have, for one, have been really pretty disappointed by the J4 performances we've been seeing so far this season. I've just found them to be pretty underwhelming overall. I do have some stats here for Haley. I believe that is the Omega Wooper support player. Yeah, the Shadow Cow's on blue side, Wooper's on red side. So Haley, the one piloting the Zyra this game, and she does have, it is her most played pick. So this is comfort for the Wooper support. But with that being said, with that being considered, it kind of just makes me think like, well, if it's her comfort pick, why didn't you just pick it earlier? Like, you didn't have to wait all the way until R5 and, like, use your red side R5 counter pick to get your support's most played champion. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there could have been some switches here. Syndra as well, first pick. There's a lot of counterplay to that, but as long as you're comfortable with it, able to play safe, really scale up, grab, those 2-item spike, you should be okay. But yeah, it just, red side, you always pick that R5 for something heavy counter, or, for a solo lane that can really, dominate the lane, have a giant impact. And unless we see it from the support, it is going to be, a little bit of a waste, like you said here. So, any other lane kind of, screaming out to you for attention?
Yeah. I mean, I think the last lane that we really have to discuss is the mid lane, right? That matchup between the Galio and the Syndra. Syndra is a champion who has obviously been extremely high priority on this patch. We've been seeing her picked B1 at Worlds quite a lot. The pros really feeling like this champion is almost like in a tier by herself right now, up at the top of the mid lane pyramid, mid lane hierarchy. But Galio should be a pretty good neutralizing pick into this matchup. Despite the fact that he is obviously going to be at a range disadvantage here, Galio is usually pretty comfortable into these mages. He gets the sort of innate magic resistance, or the magic damage shield rather, from the W. And, he should be able to weather the storm of the Syndra, I think, relatively well, at least in the early game. And then once you get to the point in the game where your Nocturne is level 6, then you can start looking to even potentially punish the Syndra. You can dash on top of her, get down that CC, get down that setup for your jungler to fly in, right? And team up to sort of punish the immobile Syndra. I think the main question for me is if the Syndra is going to be able to get a big advantage in the laning phase before the Shadow Cows can get to that point in the game, right? Because if Syndra is already taken over by the time Galio and Nocturne are 6, and Syndra is already roaming around the map, affecting the side lanes and starting to snowball the game, then things could get a little bit out of hand, because the Woopers have some pretty solid scaling, I think, in their draft as well. So what do you think about those expectations for the mid lane, and folding the junglers into the conversation as well? What do you think? What are you expecting to really play out there?
Yeah, Syndra is a really nice burst champion. Scared of the weak, you have your power balls that you sit down, and then that ultimate just, able to unleash a giant amount of power. But with that Gallo being able to negate quite a bit of it too, and you kind of have to telegraph when you're coming in, because you're not the most mobile champion. There might be a lot of counterplay with the taunts, and then Nocturne, like you just stated, that level 6 is going to be so dangerous for her to even step up past that halfway mark, because as soon as one CC comes down, another one's going to come, and Ash Arrow, from base could come and hit you. There's just a lot to play around there, so it really depends on that early game. And this might be something for J4 too, to say, hey, I'm going to look mid, push that Galio, just get Syndra a little bit of lead so she's comfortable until that mid point of the game. So I think it'll be interesting to see if we have that early action mid or bottom from the J4. If not,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think it's going to set them behind a little too much.
I completely agree. I think you drafted the J4 in this game, and he does have some opportunities, like you said, in the mid and the bot lane to make that early impact and get the Woopers into a good position. So I do think we need to see that from the Wooper jungler here, but will we is the question. Gitano, your prediction, please, for our first game of the night.
I'm going to go with the cows. I'm feeling beefy tonight. Give me the
Okay.
lean 90-10 cut. I think they're going to get it here. They have a great universal team comp here, as well as the Mordekaiser. I think it's just going to take one little push for him to get ahead, and it's going to spell disaster for him.
All right, we'll see. Maybe the Shadow Cows are going to be winning out on some burger flips, and that is going to allow them to emerge victorious in this first game. What are the Cats' predictions, just as an aside, Gitano?
It doesn't matter. They're always wrong. It doesn't.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll get back to that later, maybe. But for now, we are, of course, going to go to a short break while we get onto the Rift for game number 1. Don't go anywhere, guys.
hours of pain. Vi sørger, vi sørger. Cold and empty, lifeless remains. Vi sørger, vi sørger. Fields of the fallen and blood washed in rain. This cannot be all that will be. So you have torn this world apart. You came for our suffering. So we'll bleed, cut us deep, find the death that you seek. But just remember, we retreat, but we live on. Those that die aren't forgotten. Just remember. Gone is our home now, it's only memories. Vi sørger, vi sørger. Looking onto a life that can never be. What did you believe? Believe you would find. And so you have torn this world apart. You came for our suffering. So bleed, cut us deep, find the death that you seek. Just remember, we retreat, but we live on. Those that die aren't forgotten. Just remember. So we'll die and we'll fall here. We're lie torn and broken. God, but will not be forgotten. We remain and we stand here.
Alrighty, folks. Welcome on to Summoner's Rift for our first game of kind of week 6, kind of a throwback to week 3. It's a game of League of Legends, guys. The Shadow Cows are going to be on the blue side, and Omega Wooper are going to be on the red. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, they're doing a little bit of a cheaty strat here. Going through the bot, they're going to hug that corner as much as they can here to make sure they give Jhin as little time to react here. It looks like they're going to have Seraphine in the position. Jhin doesn't react right away.
There is the beat drop. Going to find the root. The cleanse very quick, though, from Caniac? Canlac? Caniac. Okay, it's Caniac, and he is going to burn the cleanse and survive.
Yeah, just a nice little sidestep. You know, cleanse not on too giant of a cooldown, but it is something to take note of in case, you know, some early action does happen and you could be wishing and hoping that you had it.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, in this matchup against the Ashe Seraphine, cleanse is definitely something that the Jhin is going to get a lot of value out of this game, you have to imagine. As Yggdrasil is going to take a couple of Dark Spheres to the face, just in exchange for getting that deep ward down on the enemy Raptors. Who is Yggdrasil again, by the way? Is some kind of, like, elder god? What is the term? Norse mythology. Thank you, alls. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, you know, and being mid laner, you're kind of the pillar, you know, of that mid lane here, of, you know, the structure, so it makes sense.
It tracks. It tracks. Yeah, absolutely. We are going to have both of our, speaking of tracking, right? We have both of our junglers starting on the top side of the map. They're going to be moving down towards this potentially volatile bottom lane with all of these immobile ranged champions that are potentially susceptible to getting engaged on. So we'll have to see how that goes. As Mordekai's up towards the top lane as well. Should be favored in this matchup against the Ornn. Standard runes and everything there. Do like to see Yeonjin taking the lethal tempo on the Nocturne again with the return of that rune. The Conqueror doesn't really work as well for the Nocturne, so he's very, very happy to have that access to that lethal tempo again.
Yeah, a couple of these little minor changes that, give you a good quality of life when you have that comfort, And I'm not sure what Riot was thinking right away when they decided to take that away and then say, never mind, JK, we're gonna bring that back here. Topside though, a
Yeah,
little bit
that
of
is
the wombo
where I'm
combos
looking
going
at the
on.
moment. As Bellows Breath comes out from Geyser, gets the Brittle Auto. Both top laners holding on to their respective flashes, so some pretty steady nerves up there. Here comes Painless, making a move towards the mid lane. Flag and drag combo. That's going to be the back away in time for the Pillar of Norse Mythology. He's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, I think maybe, if you did the scatter of the week a little bit or, just grab the stun up, set up the J4. I do like the little aggression, just pop it out, saying hey
Yeah,
quick before the full clear. So, got to give credit where credit's due.
He tried something, kind of, almost tried something anyways. Yeah, he's going to finish the full clear now. Nocturne did not try anything, and thus is going to be first to the South River to secure this Scuttle Crab. Also, of course, has the bot Prio to make sure that this goes smoothly. He's going to be able to lock that away, and should be the double crab situation for Yeonjin in this first game as well. Great spot for the Nocturne, right, who just wants to be farming up those camps, getting towards that level 6 mark as quickly as ghostly possible.
Yeah, Syndra here, just, shoving in, trying to get a little bit of established early pressure, just like you mentioned here, pre-game, pre-6, trying to poke out this Galio here. CS lead towards the Galio. I'm a little surprised that it's been going this well.
Yeah, running out of mana on the Syndra as well, so hasn't really been quite as effective putting out that pressure as you would like, and the fact that she's down CS, it's great that you pointed that out. That's also very concerning for the Syndra.
Yeah, Hawkshot going in here for the Ashe, gonna spot out a little bit. Gonna see the
That's gonna
J4.
be a root down onto Silly Goofy. Seraphine gonna get chunked down to about 50%, but Haley taking a lot of damage as well. Zyra have to flash away there to stay alive. Bustin moving forward, getting those arrows out onto Caniac. And the Ashe Seraphine, the power of the Ashe Seraphine, are winning out so far in the 2v2. R5 Zyra be damned.
Yeah, it's, like I said, this poke sustain from Ashe Seraphine is just going to be really oppressive here until that J4 can really make an impact. And I think, unfortunately, it's going to take to level 6. So bot's going to have to be a little bit on the starvation mode until they push this in. And the wave is coming towards them, so it won't take too long. So we'll see if they can do a nice hold here in front of their tower.
Cute attempt there from Ishan to try and steal away some baby chickens, but pretty unsuccessful there. I'm pretty sure Yeonjin was still able to get the full camp. And meanwhile, in the top lane, we are also seeing a bit of a CS differential open up here in favor of DJ Zeller on the Mordekaiser. As you can see, has the level advantage as well. As I say it, Geyser's going to make me look a little bit silly. He also ticks over to level 6, but that's totally fine as well.
You were right. I saw it. He was level 5. I'm not going to dispute you on it.
Yeah,
you knew what you were talking about.
Mostly. Oh, this is interesting. DJ Zettler's just going to start up the Void Grubs. And neither... Well, I guess Yeonjin is kind of in the area. Nocturne should be able to move over here and help out. And Yggdrasil has the Hero's Entrance locked and loaded as well. So this should be a very comfortable first neutral objective take for the side of the Shadow Cows. They're going to be first on the board in that department. And the side of the Woopers don't really seem to have too much of an idea. I guess maybe they have some idea as Ishan moves over there to get that ward into the river, sees Galio coming back to lane, but Jarvan is actually going for a potential lane gank here. So this wave is pushing towards the Woopers. Are they going to be able to find the punish here onto Goofy and Bustin? The Ashe Seraphine both still have their flash, and Jarvan is not level 6 yet, so it's tough to really get anything concrete here. And look at that. Bustin and Goofy aren't even going to walk up. They're going to respect the possibility that Jarvan could be around. They don't even have to burn any summoners or anything. Just maintaining that priority in the bot lane, scaling up.
Yeah, J4 kind of falling behind there, standing in there, hovering his back quite a bit, but no engage coming out, unfortunately, for them. Not even, an attempt. So kind of putting your own jungler behind right now. We see a 500 gold lead, nothing too crazy here. And it looks like Beyond Void Grubs are also going to get first Dragon as well.
Yeah, so this is going to be both of those early neutrals going over to the Shadow Cows. They are going to feel absolutely fantastic about that. Yeonjin, of course, has access to the Paranoia now as well. So this is, you know, a huge spike for this team composition right now. You know, if they can find a move to make on the map, that's going to be a taunt in the mid lane, but Nocturne wasn't quite in range to go for the immediate follow-up there. But Ishan low on mana once again, and the Syndra does not have teleport anymore. So this wave is going to get shoved in. Galio is going to open up a nice, about one wave lead. Oh, Ishan is actually going to stick around. Could they possibly go for a dive here? Looks like Nocturne's not in position, and Jarvan was in the area as well.
Yeah, I'm not understanding not backing right now. You know, your Galio's going to back, come to lane, has TP, is going to push you right back in again. You grabbed a few minions here, but it's also the pressure of if bot lane, you know, attempts to go in, Nocturne goes down there, Galio should be able to follow straight away and still be able to get back in time for lane without really losing anything here. But we see J4 once again trying for the lane game, going through, not
He's gonna have to
spotted
wait
out.
for a while. I mean, he does have level 6 this time at least, but I mean, this wave has to bounce, and he's gonna have to wait in that bush for a long time to actually, oh, maybe not actually, as they're going to go for the play as the EQ connects on a silly Goofy. The Seraphine flashes away the red buff, the flash for the Cataclysm. First blood over to the Wooper jungler. Taunt comes through onto Caniac, but the Deadly Flourish is going to miss. It's the Shadow Cows in a 2v3 right now. They should probably be backing away from this one. Oh, not a 2v3, never mind. In comes the Paranoia, but the Jhin is going to be able to flash away, gets underneath the turret. It's just that one kill going over to the Woopers, and it's Painless who picks up the gold.
Yeah, you know, good waiting there, and Seraphine trying to push up. Ashe, I understand, trying to engage it as well, but, you know, good job by J4 being patient, and unlucky timing by them too with how crazy that was. But mid lane here, more action.
Yeah, Paranoia not available this time, but the Fear Tether might just be enough. Syndra feared underneath the turret, will be able to flash away, barely stays alive. Meanwhile, the flash away for busting in the bot lane no longer has it. The fourth shot, will it connect? It does! Caniac has slain the enemy AD carry first on the board for Jhin.
The curtain call comes out, 2 warning shots, and then the final one sticks and finds the Ashe there. Great job being patient, waiting, you know, for the happy feet to go down, and eventually they're pulling that trigger.
Yeah, nice move there from the Woopers. It was looking pretty dicey in the early game there. You know, Jarvan was wasting a lot of time going for these angles that just weren't working out, but finally they have managed to get some success. They've got themselves into a little bit of a lead now. They're up about 400 gold at the moment. Top lane is a bit of a disaster still. Our Ornn is down about 30 CS, as Painless does go for the EQ. Not going to find the Seraphine this time. Call the Forge God comes out there, and, you know, he hit it.
Not sure if it was the right time to hit it, but he did hit it.
Yeah, I mean, the skill shot landed, and now he's going to be trapped in the death realm. So DJ Zeller is going to move in to try and secure the last hit onto this Ornn. I don't think he's going to be able to get it before the escape from the death realm, though. Guys are flashes away, but it's into the pit. There's no escape for the Ornn. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is going to take down Painless on the other side of the fight there. So a couple of quick ones going the way of the Shadow Cows, and it looks like they are going to secure all 6 Void Grubs as well.
Yeah, J4 being a little quick on the draw there, seeing that the Seraphine was out, trying to move up, try to grab that vision, and then, you know, that Forge call, trying to maybe knock out a few people just to delay a little bit, but unfortunately it was kind of a little bit of the wrong time. Asho doing a great job of cross-mapping, putting where he thinks the team is, and J4 getting hit. Unfortunately, the team is available to sweep them up, and that Mordekaiser lead.
Whoa, a flash in for Yggdrasil. That's up for the Paranoia to come through, and Syndra, no flash.
Oh, no.
He didn't finish. He needed one more. No, what Shadow Cows? What's happening?
They were trying to get it over there to Galio, but
Oh,
Galio not
no.
having range, just one hit. It doesn't matter who gets it, but somebody should at this point. I think Syndra is counting her blessings right now that nothing came of that.
Yeah, and the Shadow Cows, I guess, still learning how to count, trying to get their damage to the appropriate quantity where they would actually be able to finish off those kills. But, you know, they do have those 6 grubs still. They have the composition that is going to be incredibly powerful in the side lane. So It's a pretty close game, honestly, that we have on our hands so far here. We do have our next dragon spawning in just a few short seconds. And there is some vision for both sides, honestly, in that southern river at the moment.
Yeah, dragon just spawning now. TP from Ornn, but nothing from Mordekaiser here. Zeller's going to have to just keep proxying, pushing up that wave. Has a good little bit of vision here on the back end. We'll see if they end up giving this Nocturne
Nice
on the other
scatter
side.
over the wall. That's going to be some good damage onto Yeonjun. Still looking for this. Dragon down to about 50%. Yeonjun doesn't actually have the paranoia available right now. That's going to be the jump in for Painless. Cataclysm is pretty good onto 2 there. He's got all of these Daxos members trapped in the Cataclysm. Call of the Forge got his good follow-up as well. The Curtain Call gets out a bunch of damage. The Woopers look like they should be winning out in this fight. Bustin is going to get flashed on by Haley. Zyra sets up the root, and there is the finish from Syndra, but they may have overextended a little bit too far for this play as Yggdrasil, the Norse god, is trying to clean up the team fight. Oh, those guys are the last 4th shot coming through from Caniac is going to seal the deal onto Yggdrasil, and now Caniac flashing forward. The last bullet is going to come out. Silly Goofy going to get taken down, and that's going to be a team fight win for the Woopers.
Blinking health bars back and forth there the entire time. Dragon still up too. No one managed to take it here. Dragon on the backside as well was crushing through them and really dealing quite a bit of damage, and really allowed that, you know, that pillar to be able to look maybe a little too tall to take down.
Yeah, it was a really close call there for sure. I think it was a 4 for 3 or something in the end, or 4 for 2 maybe. I think it was.
You just make a Thor joke in the middle of that.
Yeah, it was 4 for 3 in favor of the Woopers. Dragon, like you said, still alive, has not been taken down just yet. Meanwhile, while all of this was happening, DJ Zeller actually the one. Okay, hang on. Paranoia into the mid, and Syndra's going to flash away and be fine. As I was saying, DJ Zeller actually not there for the previous fight. Did manage to take down the first brick, that top lane tier 1.
Yeah, and now 152 to 89. A great CS lead, has the Rylai's complete. You're not going to be scooting away from him at any time, and I think it's only going to get worse here. Syndra, though.
Oh, good setup there. Apparently on cooldown, though. Means Yeonjun can't follow up on that immediately.
Yeah, kind of dancing around this dragon, but I don't know if they want to take it here. Zeller does have TP and can join the fight. Silly
started
Goofy
up
just
for the Shadow
trying to grab some wards. We have every ult here minus Galio to kind of help out, but
Gonna burn it down. Objective secured. 2 dragons now for the cows. And they're continuing to monopolize these neutrals.
yeah, unfortunately, I think it's going to be that way from here on out. It is an uphill battle, trying to get, you know, a little bit of edge in for them. Ash doing a great job being able to hawkshot, kind of see the vision all around before they even walk in to anything there. Seraphine as well, being able to sustain before the fights in case you do take a little bit of poke here. By, you know, 6 grubs, 2 objectives. The next one's going to put you at that, you know, crucial soul point, and then it's kind of a do or die fight throughout the entirety of it here. And this top lane is just getting bigger and bigger.
Shadow Realm passed by DJ Zeller. That's going to be guys are trapped in here. Does have the flash once the Shadow Realm dissipates. Call of the Forge Guy going to be utilized to try and buy a little bit more time. That Obliterate is going to miss. The R2 is also going to miss. And Geyser is just going to get obliterated. Kill number 2 for DJ Zeller.
Unfortunately, I don't know who's going to be able to answer this Mordekaiser now. 172, 70 CS lead just about here. And a giant buyback, saying on almost 4,000 gold. He is going to come back for Vengeance, your Rift Maker, being the next one. Lots of sustain coming out there. Also the boots and grabbing a control ward just to make sure
boots.
he wants to see everything that's going to be happening up there. Curtain call, though.
EQ set up on a Silly Goofy. Seraphine's going to try to flash away, but then is going to immediately get cataclysmed and taken down by Painless. So a nice little pick there. Support a little bit overextended. But now the Paranoia onto the mid laner, who does not have flash. Syndra in so much trouble right now. Going to get taken down by Yeonjun. But now the Nocturne going to get traded back. The 4th shot comes out from Caniac. That's Galio over the wall, but it's DJ Zeller that we should probably keep an eye on. The 1v2 up towards the top side of this fight. Painless able to EQ away. Stays alive for now. Guys are getting back underneath the turret as well. Such a low health bar on this Jarvan, but it doesn't seem like the side of the Shadow Cows are going to be able to finish him off. So 1-for-1 fight, well, 2-for-1, I guess, in favor of the Woopers again, if you count that pick onto Silly Goofy at the outset of that.
Yeah, 2-for-1, but nothing to really take from that. Rift now being the objective point here. J4 on the other side, and I don't think there's anything they can really do about this.
Yeah, they won the fight technically, but the health bars were a little bit too low to transition that into anything, like you mentioned. So this is going to be yet another neutral objective going the way of the Shadow Cows. And Herald, obviously, especially powerful when you do have those 6 grubs. I love giving it to the top laner here as well. DJ Zeller is going to be best friends with Shelly up there. Going to get a ton of value, almost guaranteed. Assuming he doesn't crash her into a wall or anything.
I was just going to make the joke to see how his driving skills are here. But
that's the one thing we still have to watch out for, I guess. Painless could be in some trouble. Does have the EQ to get away, and it's a beautiful scatter there from Ishan as well to create some space for the Jarvan's retreat. And 2 minutes on the Dragon, Gitano.
You're supposed to get there early, prep your wards, but I'm not sure how, how much vision can you get down to really make your team feel comfortable walking into this here. Top side here, taking away that red buff.
Oh boy.
Nocturne's going to grab that. Orin cannot step anywhere without finding this Mordekaiser right there to say hello to him.
Yeah, that's one way to say hello. Slap him with a big old mace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any other way to say hello? Do you not wake up in the morning and, first person you see just find the mace and whap him in the face?
Yeah, actually, that explains a lot, Gitano. I'm glad you you mentioned that. There's a lot of things making sense to me right now. But
I feel like that's how I've always lived my life. My parents did that to me when I, woke them up as an early child. My dad would just get the mace and give me a good old hello.
Yeah, sleeping in, gonna be late to school, mace time.
Not today. Sack of oranges.
Get obliterated.
And here comes Shelly now. Well,
here she comes. Gonna get the charge into
driving.
Okay, we ace driver. Zed was not late to school. DJ Zeller gonna get that tier 2 and possibly another charge into the tier 3 on the horizon here. Is he gonna go for it? Nope. He's just going to allow Shelly to go into. Shelly has another. Almost the self-driving car there, almost making an appearance into the top lane, but Elon Musk not quite having enough control over his technology there. Still some kinks to work out.
Yeah, it saw a cat. It had to freeze. The process
Something like that.
on it.
Yeah,
you can't just willy-nilly go in here. Oh no. J4
okay,
here.
Yeah, DJ Zeller, I think we just go for the Death Realm right now. I would just go for the Death Realm there on the J4, but DJ Zeller is going to be merciful for now. Just going to push him away. Complete control over this river right now for the Shadow Cows. I like this from the Woopers. Able to trade for the mid-tier 1. The question now is, can you contest the Dragon? And they seem to think the answer is yes. So here comes the Call of the Forge God. DJ Zeller going to get chunked out on the flank here. Does eventually go for the ultimate onto the Jarvan. And the rest of the team going to take down the Dragon. The Paranoia goes in. The Encore for the setup is beautiful as well. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow locks down the front line. Guys are going to get taken down first. Cataclysm into the back line for Painless. That's going to be stunned into DJ Zeller, but Mordekaiser is too tanky. Not going to go down that easily. And now the slows coming out from the Ishan rather, forced to flash away, and Painless on the wrong side of town. Get maced. That's going to be DJ Zeller on a killing spree. 3-0. For the Mordekaiser and 3-0 Dragons for the Shadow Cows.
Yeah, 500 bounty now on his head, doing such a good job there, finding the J4, taking him out of the fight. Did take quite a bit of burst, but so far ahead that it does not matter at this point. Next Dragon, 4 minutes, 25-minute mark. We're going to see a soul battle here. And, the gold difference I'm looking at, it's around that, 2.5k mark. It could be worse. It's not too bad on paper here. We do see Kanik, 2-0-6, so a great start here by the Jhin. Gonna grab a little bit more damage now that the static and the rapid fire cannon is complete here. So, we might see a little bit of tables turned, hopefully. But this Mordekaiser is still I don't know what the answer is.
I mean, if we're looking for silver linings for the Woopers, the fact that it's Chemtech Soul is honestly pretty amazing for them as well. There is Still, the Seraphine is going to get some pretty good value out of the Chemtech Soul, and like the Mordekaiser Shield, I guess, as well, is going to get buffed up by the Soul. But in terms of possible Souls that they could be staring down here, you have to imagine that Chemtech is probably their preference.
Yeah, it definitely a silver lining, like you just mentioned, a saving grace of theirs. So not something, maybe they're looking to switch for a Baron too in the midst of this, knowing that they want to
Yeah,
grab
wouldn't
that
hate
soul
that,
point.
honestly.
That could be a point of contention here, but they're doing a good job of just being proactive with it too. They do have a nice control ward right in that bush, so if anyone does happen to walk by, unless they all, use the blast plant to come over, it could be a little too late for them to be spotted out in a rotation, especially with this team. There's so much, range on this. You have the Ash Arrow to stop, you have the Nocturne to go in, you have the Galio to follow up. I just don't know how quickly you can take it here, if you're Woopers.
Yeah, we do have some 2 items. Paranoia is going to come down here into the mid lane. That's going to be directly onto the Jhin, who does flash away, stays alive for now, cleanse away from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. The Deadly Flourish connects onto the Galio, does get locked up by the EQ combo. Encore beautiful, though, from the Seraphine to deny the follow-up from coming through. Interrupted, I believe, there. The curtain call from the Jhin also. And they're going to be able to take down Jarvan in the aftermath. So 1-0 in the fight. Shadow Cows on top, continuing to press their advantages.
Yeah, great encore there. Finding 3, stopping the curtain call, and really just putting a damper on that fight here. Galio having to back, TPing back in as well. And this Baron is not long for this world.
Yeah, just getting melted there. No jungler alive for the side of the Woopers means they can't realistically contest. They are trying to trade for the mid-tier 2. Not even going to be able to get that, though. Just need the smite to be good here from Yeonjin, and it is. Baron secured for the side of the Shadow Cows, and that is going to should comfortably give them map control for the spawn of the dragon as well.
Yeah, I was a little worried there. I thought Haley might be able to, snake it at the last second.
It was a good try, yeah. It was a good smite, though. I saw like 900 something on the Baron as the smite came through.
Ash Arrow here.
Yeah, that connects onto the Cleanseless Syndra, and Yggdrasil flashing in there for the follow-up taunt. Claims the kill. And, yeah, this is looking like a pretty done deal from here. I mean, the Shadow Cows, really powerful position. DJ Zeller, level 16 on the Mordekaiser, is going to get Ornn in the Death Realm. Surely we'll be able to take down Geyser before the exit. Geyser doing a good job of trying to buy time, but will eventually go down. DJ Zeller probably won't be able to get anybody else, though. Haley getting away from that last obliterate, and the shutdown will go over to Caniac. So, DJ Zeller, that was a little bit of an overextension, you have to say. I mean, Dragon's not even alive yet, and no other lanes were being pushed at the moment, so not sure why Mordekaiser was that far up. Just feeling really confident, obviously, because he's had a great game so far, but a little bit of a freebie there for the Woopers. I do lose the tier 2 bot, though.
Yeah, quite a bit of freebie, but they also have to fight into this entrance here.
For their jungle. Gonna get locked up by the Stranglethorns. EQ being considered right now by the Jarvan. Curtain call opened up. Yeonjin potentially in trouble. Silly Goofy trying to escort. The flash for the Cataclysm gets 3. Silly Goofy flash away. A beautiful scatter, though, for the follow-up. The hero's entrance comes out from the Galio to try to peel for the back line, and is somewhat successful as they take down the diving J4.
TP Mord.
Alive. DJ Zeller respawn, like you say, with the TP behind DJ Zeller. He brings down the hammer. And that's going to be the end for the Woopers in this team fight. Geyser can do nothing as the rest of the team just has to run for their lives from this terrifying Lord of the Death Realm.
Yeah, what a play back and forth there. Initially a good catch out. Great Cataclysm here by Painless, but unfortunately not enough follow-up here to end it. And DJ Zeller, one more for good measure here. 3 on this push here. Dragon not even being looked at. Why would you need it when you can simply say GG here? They are taking everything that's in front of them.
3 seconds on Ishan. Syndra will be back. It's going to be, looks like, in 2 inhibitors is the call for the Shadow Cows. That is what they're playing for right now. As the dash forward, Yggdrasil gets the taunt onto Haley, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow for the follow-up as well. There's a port is going to get taken down, busted on a killing spree. There is the second inhibitor being secured. Baron still, well, it's actually following off right now, the Baron buff for the Shadow Cows. They're not going to have the the buffed up minions to siege the Nexus turrets. They're going to actually play for the triple inhib here. They've got another wave coming in towards the top side. Geyser wants to put a stop to this siege, going for the Forge God, gets the CC onto the back line. They're trying to take down front to back is how the Woopers are trying to play this one. They have Painless is the one going down pretty low. The jungler will get taken down first, and the wallets were just a little bit too heavy. DJ Zeller a little bit too large there on the front line, and it is a wipe here in this last team fight of the game. Haley's going to go for one more Stranglethorns. The curtain is going to get called one more time. Better make no mistake, folks. It is curtains for the Woopers here in game one.
Ripple and him just trying to stack that fantasy points push here. One tower going down, soon to be the second. No need for Baron minions when you have all three lanes pushing in here, and that will be game one here very shortly.
About 28:30 on the game clock, 28:22 to be exact, as the Nexus falls. And the Shadow Cows, they pick up, I believe that is their second game win of the season. I believe they did have one other game win at some point. I don't quite know when, but it's that's another one on the board for the Cows. You love to see it.
Yeah, I think there was great play throughout, but DJ Zeller just doing such a fantastic job on this Mordekaiser, getting ahead and just pushing his advantage again and again and again. I also want to shout out Ash. Every time that curtain call comes out, Ash is stepping aside, making sure that Enchanted Arrow went straight towards him, shut it down initially, just as soon as it came up, and Silly Goofy just doing a great job with those encores, just landing alt after alt after alt. What a great team play.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I loved the peel and the setup coming out from Yggdrasil's Galio as well. Only one death this game, 3-1-12 for the Galio. And at least for the side of the Woopers, I do like what they kind of went for in that last fight that we saw around the Dragon, where they were trying to dive on top of the backline. That was a really nice setup from Painless there. Had the Flash Cataclysm onto all three carries. It was Yonjin, Bustin, and Silly Goofy, I believe, caught in that Cataclysm. The follow-up was there from the rest of the team. You could tell they were all on the same page going for that play. But it was DJ Zeller, again, like you pointed out already, the big difference maker in this game for the Shadow Cows. Respawn, teleported in behind, and just cleaned house in that fight for the Shadow Cows. So I think a pretty obvious POG vote in this one, Gitano, for the DJ, unless you had other ideas.
Nope, there was no other ideas in my head. Just that one peanut flowing around that's yelling DJ Zeller.
Yeah, pretty much. And it does kind of lead us back to our draft discussion as well, right? The fact that we saw the Ornn come through on the R4 gave DJ Zeller the opportunity to go for that counter pick. And, I mean, the man absolutely made the most of it. Was dominating the laning phase, putting out so much pressure in the side lane. Even the driving skills were up to par. And really just was the difference maker for the Shadow Cows in this one.
Yeah, definitely had a hold my beer moment there while driving Shelly. But, decided not to Paul Walker and really made the right call of crashing into the correct target here. So I can see why the Zyra pick was, a great pick in the R5, but it didn't quite work as established. That Nocturne, the Galio, they're going to be diving that backline. You have to wait to really peel that off of the gen, but unfortunately positioning just was not their strength. As you just commented about that last fight that they had around Dragon, that would be something that, if they found in that mid game, that J4 to come along the side, find the backline, wait for them to really push up with the Galio, with the Nocturne, and being able to kind of, cause some havoc back there and maybe try to turn the fight for them after it begins. But unfortunately, they just never had that. They just played straightforward, front to back, diving in, got time and time again, and it just never worked for them.
Absolutely right, Gitano. We'll see if the side of the Woopers are going to be able to sort things out here in this second game, if they are going to be able to bring us to that game number 3, or if the Shadow Cows will make their first match win of the season a 2-0. We'll see, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
to the fallen, leave me to be with the broken one last time before I go. Hold the last burning ember, let us never surrender. May we rise up to the call for the glory and the fall. For the weak and the broken, for the lost and forsaken, let us never surrender. May we rise up to the call for the weak and the broken, for the lost and forsaken, let us never surrender. For the glory and the For the beat and the broken, for the lost and forsaken, let us never surrender. Now we rise unto the call. For the glory and the fall.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our Game 2 Champion Select. We are, of course, swapping sides, as we always do here in the BOL round robin stage. Omega Wooper now on the blue side, Shadow Cows on the red. We already have these bans coming through. Amumu and Nico banned away by Omega Wooper on the blue side. Cassiopeia has been removed on the red.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad we won't see the repeat of the board. I would have liked to see another go about, but unfortunately not going to happen this time. We'll see if he has anything else with lane dominance that will maybe take over the game once again here for them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are other things that our dear DJ can look towards. Some of his other favorite picks look like the Renekton, something that he played a lot of last split. We also have the Darius here. You got 53% win rate on the Darius. We've got we've got some Volibear here, some Malphite, a little bit of Garen, a little bit of Rumble as well. So plenty of stuff that the DJ could go towards, and will, of course, have the opportunity to go for the R5 counterpick this game as well. So another counterpick opportunity for DJ, who used it so very well in the previous game. Poppy on the B1. Katana.
Yeah, Jinx and Amelia will be the follow-up for that, so a great lane there for the cows with those two, being able to keep Jinx very healthy as well as, gunning away, getting crazy, getting hyped up and shooting like a crazy monster. I just watched Arcane again not too long ago, since the second
Well, I need to
season
get around to that still. Yeah.
is coming out, and it's such a joy to watch. I would watch again here, and I was like, Kaisa might be the answer.
Can I get a Vi for the Omega Woopers? Can I get a Vi? A Vi and a Caitlyn is what we need for Arcane Season 2 sneak peek. If Jace gets into the game as well, that's a bonus.
Are they going to continue that storyline, or do you think they're going to shove it over to like Noxus or something like that, or some other part?
So from what I've seen, it kind of sounds like they are not going to be. I heard something about like final season for Arcane. So what I'm kind of predicting is they're going to wrap the sort of Jinx, Vi, Caitlyn story with this next season. And then they're probably going to explore other stories afterwards. Maybe even with like a different title or like a name for the show.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. But I'm predicting one more season of Caitlyn, Vi, and Lux. And then they'll probably branch out and try and do some other stuff. We'll see.
That would be great. I think they did such a good job by it. Meanwhile, Blitzcrank getting pulled out here in game 2. Excuse the pun there. Skarner as well. Great pick here. We've seen in Worlds do quite a bit, but that ult really hit or miss depending on how it looks here. So already the cows having a great team fight synergy here with them. We'll see what they pick up for the 4 and 5 pick. I was surprised they, maybe they were gonna match support R5 with a support R5, but not this time. Do you think that's something they could have done, or put their cards on the table, or maybe they're saving it for game 3 to
just because the Omega Woopers did it in game 1, you think the Shadow Cows should have done R5 support pick in this game?
I think it's the respect. You gotta do it back and forth here. It's anything you can do, I can do better, and then they'll just kind of flip flop it.
I mean, I think that maybe could have been an angle they could have taken, but. I'm pretty happy to see the draft they put together so far. I actually really like the Blitzcrank for the Woopers. I feel like that as a response into the Jinx Melio makes a ton of sense, right? You should be able to threaten them in the laning phase if you can separate either the Jinx or the Melio. It doesn't really matter which one you grab, but if you can get one of them so that they're apart, that's really all you need, right? And the fact that the Blitzcrank has the ability to destroy shields as well with the ultimate feels really, really nice into the Melio. But the Skarner as well, like you already mentioned, really strong pick in the meta right now. The Shadow Cows are going to go for the Swain here on the R4. This is very interesting. As I believe we've seen Yggdrasil on the Swain this season. Let me see if I can find some stats for us.
Yeah, a little bit of a flex pick here. I've seen Swain top, a little bit here and there. It could be definitely a mid pick, and that's just one more thing for Blitz to potentially grab here. just in case, but not someone you want to pull here. So I believe they're trying to grab a nice front line here for that Jinx Milio to make sure that Blitz has as few of targets to pick here. But a
Ooh.
Yone coming out here for the Whoopers. I'm
Talking
excited
about
to see
meta
that.
picks. Yeah, I mean that's the big one from Worlds is the Yone. Seems like all the pro players have finally figured out this kit is just so overloaded. It's not even funny. So they're going to go for that for the side of the Whoopers alongside the Lilia. So that's going to round out their damage profile nicely. Really like their draft, honestly. I feel like the Whoopers have put together a really compelling composition here. The Garen is going to be the option for DJ here on the R5. So he wasn't really sure who was going into the top lane until the very end here. Poppy, being flexible in nature in terms of what roles she can play. But now with the Poppy into the top lane, pretty much confirmed, DJ Zeller feeling confident to pull out the Garen here for this second game. Let's start there, Gaetano. Garen into Poppy. Your thoughts?
You're not gonna like it as Poppy. You can cash him away as much as you want, but this Garen's gonna come for blood, and come that third to fourth item, there's nothing you're really gonna be able to do to stop him, because I don't see a lot of lockdown for this Garen. You have the Blitz hook, you have Sleepy Time by Lilia. Poppy might be able to shove him into a wall, but there's not a lot of stoppage, and a beefy front line. You got Garen, Skarner, and Swain, three people that you do not want to pull anywhere towards your back line here. So Blitzcrank gonna have to really thread the needle on a lot of these here to kind of help out. But I think the Garen top's gonna have a good lane.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense. I think that's to be expected. The DJ Zeller would pick himself a favorable matchup here, especially taking game one into account. So that all makes sense. We do, of course, have the mid lane matchup here. Looks like it's going to be Swain versus Yone. So Yone, it kind of just feels like he wins every matchup. Like it just doesn't even really matter. Like maybe some matchups he loses early. But like once he gets his item, then he can just kind of like run at people. I don't know. What do you think about Yone Swain? And I guess your thoughts on Yone in particular?
Yeah, Yone being able to get in and out so well with, zapping back to his original position. So you have to be really careful about where you start yourself off with that fight, because if you do panic press, there's nowhere left to go. But on the other side, Swain's not a great burst steal champion. He has a little AoE to the front of him, but a lot of it is waiting until that 6, sustaining the fight, and kind of trading back and forth. So maybe stacking a little bit in other lanes or trying to hit, those empowered E's, trying to figure out where everyone is. But Yone as a champion can just possess so much lockdown, so great of team fights, hopping over walls, grabbing everyone, shoving them back. He really does it all at this point. And with the changes, for his masteries and the item looking for him right now, there's a reason why this champion's pick banned. He is just so versatile and such a threat on every level, no matter where he's at.
And it's funny as well, because for the Worlds patch, they're playing on 14.18, obviously. I believe
Correct.
Lethal Tempo has not yet been introduced.
So
reintroduced, rather. Yeah, it's even better live than it is for the pros on the Worlds patch. Assuming that Yone is once again taking Lethal Tempo, which I feel like is a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's going to look really good for Ishan. The thing about Swain that you touched on a little bit already is the fact that he really does thrive into melee compositions. If there's a lot of champions on the enemy team that he is able to suck off of, that really just allows him to have so much sustain in the fights and really have a lot of staying power there. I've seen Swain performances in the past where he definitely can take over games with the right setup in the right situation. The problem is that just like Yone is the setup. Yone is the situation. and he's just gonna do Yone things, and that's kind of just how it is. That does lead us, I think, into our bot lane conversation. Kai'Sa, Blitzcrank, Jinx, Melio. I talked about this a little bit already. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Kitano?
I agree with you 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head for this one. Blitzcrank just separating one of them, coming down to it. Lily is going to be that power farmer, but if she definitely makes an appearance, Sleepy Time help, that's about all she wrote here. But I'm really excited to see if they also pull something out at level 1, grab and invade, grab
Yeah,
someone over the wall, unfortunately, and get yourself first blood and really far ahead here. So
that
Kaisa,
would be
great
exciting.
job of poking, grabbing that, AP damage a little bit here, and kind of really poke people out before the fight even starts, per
Mm.
se. But unfortunately, hopefully, Milio and Jinx have their happy feet work on, because it's gonna be a dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge day.
Do you think Kaisa is going to be going for the attack speed build or the AP build in this game?
I hopefully for the attack speed, but I can see a lot of people are popularizing that AP. And if you do get ahead, it is a great tool. But with the amount of frontline that you have to deal with here, the Skarner, the Swain, and the Garen, they're going to be able to eat your abilities all day, every day, and still come outside, very ahead. So I'm really weary to see if there's a Mountain Soul Drake, fortunately looking for them, or an Ocean Soul, something to really help their sustain.
Yeah, absolutely. We shall see. There is plenty of consistent damage in this Omega Wooper composition. The fact that they have the Yone and the Lilia does give Kaisa, I think, some flexibility in terms of what she wants to go for this game. You're hoping for the on-hit. We'll have to see if Kaniak is going to oblige. Last order of business before we go to break, Gitano, is, of course, your prediction for game number 2. You were correct, actually. We didn't... no, wait, were you correct? No,
I
you weren't
was.
correct.
I was correct.
You were
called
correct.
it.
Yes,
I said,
you
give me
called
that beef.
Yeah. You did say that, and the Shadow Cows did indeed give you the beef. There in game 1, and the cats were wrong. So you're one up on the cats so far tonight, Gitano. The cats, I think you mentioned, are going for the Woopers here in this game number 2. What are your thoughts?
They know nothing at this point. They got lucky with a few of them. I'm going the other way here. Give me the Kobe beef right now. Just give me. I had
Okay.
that, burger sliders. They were a great appetizer. I needed 2 of them besides the blue water talk, so I grabbed 2 appetizers. But this is gonna be my main course here. I want to see the Swain get like raw lasagnas right away. Just completely be unkillable. Garen also just running rampants around. So that's gonna be my prediction. Hand me over to the cows. 2-0. I'm out of here.
We shall see. Yeah, DJ Zeller got the counter pick in the top lane once again. Pulling out the Garen here for the second game. They've got Jinx Melio. They've got the Skarner, all really strong picks right now. And they have the momentum as well, which could be really, really big for them. The Woopers, though, they have Yone. So that's my counterpoint. We'll see, guys, who is going to come out on top in game number 2 right after this short break. right, everyone, welcome back to the Rift. We are greeted by a chorus of pings as the teams seem to be making their way down towards this bottom lane.
Yeah, I think the Blitzcrank is going to try to look for another pull. A little bit of reverse shenanigans here, but a good job of Ward setting up by Melio and Jinx, so they are going to spot this a mile away.
Yeah, absolutely right. But the side of the Woopers not deterred. Moving into the enemy jungle here, they are going to take up position in the tri-brush. Continuing to move forward. Haley on the crank leading the charge. Not going to find anybody in the blue buff bush.
There goes
And,
a third of your mana. Oof.
True. Yeah. There is still a little bit of time if Haley wants to go for the reset. Not going to be the option, though. And, ooh, there's even... Oh, I think, actually, the Poppy did dodge away from the Vision of Empire there. So, no early stack for the Swain just yet. Do like this from the Shadow Cows. They have gone for a little bit of an invade themselves, as you can see here, guys. Going to steal away the enemy blue buff, knowing what their opponents, the Woopers, were up to in that bottom side jungle. Geyser is going to spot them out here. DJ Zeller going to move over and sort of push away the Poppy. And blue buff will be secured by Yunjin.
Yeah, now knowing what is Lilia going to do, is Lilia going to try to invade, take the opposing blue buff, or just going to keep clearing and say, hey, you got me on round one. We'll continue later. But Zeller not having a good time here up top.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the flash for the Q, and the flash a little bit late from the Garen. I was looking at the map. I missed the lead up to that a little bit. But, yeah, Geyser finding the solo kill after a rough game one, coming out in game two, guns a-blazing.
Yeah, didn't respect the Poppy all in there, Just doing a great job of utilizing her abilities. That Iron Ambassador, being able to shield up a little bit. The Gravity Hammer as well. And knowing that maybe, Garen's
Haley moves in. That's going to be the Rocket Grab connecting on a Bustin, who flashes away, tries to stay alive. Some good return damage here. Out on a Caniac, who flashes away, will also barely stay alive. And this wave's a pretty awkward spot now, honestly, for the Woopers. I mean, it's still going to crash, I think. As Painless is going to move into the jungle here and takes down Yunjin. Just like that. Is oh, you're going to take my blue buff? Let me get that back real quick.
Buff transfer complete here. Great job by Woopers here. Just putting the pedal to the metal. Love to see that early aggression here. Poppy as well. Backing with that Ruby Crystal. Going back and pass. I'm interested to see what she's going to go first item. But that's Skarner getting set back so heavily. 8 CS right now, trying to clear that, that third camp for him here. But that is going to put a damper to his level 6.
And Lilia clears faster as well, so most likely Yunjin is just going to fall further and further behind here. I love that move from Painless as well. Had full information, obviously. The fact that Yunjin moved into the blue top side to steal away that blue buff. Lilia just making that immediate impact in the bot lane and then going for the invade afterwards with the priority. Really, really intelligent macro decision there, and is rewarded for it.
Yeah, that risk and reward, and definitely the reward it was here. Topside Poppy and Garen still trading back and forth. DJ Zeller maybe, and hey, you got the best of me at that first point, but it's not going to happen again. But
here comes Painless. I think DJ Zeller might be getting bested once again momentarily here. He's going to go for the Ignite onto Geyser, who's just going to step away, and the Lilia should be able to easily clean up this kill. Geyser gets in there with the charge for the last hit. 3-0 on the board now for the Woopers.
Yeah, Poppy 2-0 as well, putting Garen so far behind. No TP as well, so that's a really big, risk reward here. Bringing that Ignite and not having to pay off early is huge and really detrimental here for your play. But mid lane here, Yon going almost to top.
I hate Yone so much, man. I'm sorry. You can do that? Ay.
And still be okay. There's no downside.
I feel like,
I
mean, he could have traded flashes there. So if Yggdrasil could have just flashed away, but like theoretically, if the Swain didn't have flash, Ishan could have just flashed on top of him there, auto-attacked like 2 times, and gotten that kill under the turret, and then gotten out for free. Like, why? Why is that? Anyway, let's move on. Dragon is alive.
SpongeBob, like, rainbow balanced.
Yeah. Grubs are spawning in about 30 seconds here. DJ Zeller is going to try to get some control over this top lane. It has not been going well so far. These R5 picks for both teams have been pretty unsuccessful so far tonight.
It might be just the curse of the R5, you know, whatever and who is
Maybe.
picking is not working out too well. But bot lane here.
Yeah, Silly Goofy's going to find a deer in a bush and is going to be pretty okay with that, actually. They're going to get the zap onto the Lilia as well. Painless chunk to about 50% and is going to sheepishly prance away.
I mean, usually you find deers in the natural habitat in the bushes, and, you know, they
Yeah,
get
I
deer,
mean-
but not this time. This deer is out for vengeance. But
Well,
Try the
Yonjin is going to
dragon
move
solo.
in here. The Lilia does have flash, not anymore, as she uses it to get over the back wall of the dragon pit. And is now going to rejoin with the bot lane. Ishan level 6 on the Yone, moving over the...
oh,
Oh, no! That's not how we drew it up, guys. Ishan is now going to go back to his body and is going to flash away from the Never Move and stay alive. Dragging down to about 50%. And the side of the Shadow Cows are moving in to try and secure this objective. The grab, though, it connects onto the Milio. They're able to burst down Silly Goofy. But now Yggdrasil into the Demonic Ascension to start into the wall. As Haley is in danger of getting burned down. But the Swain actually gets popped by the Kaisa passive. And the Woopers come alive in the team fight. It's 3 for 1. They're massively on top in that one. Oh, DJ Zeller died as well. What the hell's going? Look where he is. He's underneath the turret. How did he even die back there?
it's Karthus ult randomly came out. There was a glitch. I'm not sure. There's no way to rewind, but that's what we're gonna go with is the random full build Karthus ult. 3-0-0 for this Poppy. 200 gold. Geyser's gotta be feeling good after this, as well as Painless. 3-0-2. That is a fed early Lilia. Double CS, you know, over your jungle opponent, and everything is just turning up green for them.
Yeah, it is looking pretty great for the Woopers so far in this one. They did not get the objective, though, in the aftermath of that fight. The Dragon is still alive, as are the Void Grubs. No neutral's been taken just yet in this one, as Ishan dodges away from that Vision of Empire in the mid lane, just denying as many stacks from the Swain as possible.
Yeah, Yone growing a little
So I'm
bit
not gonna
of
dodge
a
away from
lead
that one,
here. Just about ready to complete that Blade of the Rune King here. Hopefully on next back, we'll see how well he can sustain in lane here. Hextech Dragon being first, so that Mountain Ocean Soul can still be up here towards late. Swain doing a good job of, you know, timing everything here. Put the trade back and forth. Oh. And
Just a
Yon,
little,
hard to control.
he's just yoning a little bit. It's fine. It's fine for now.
Warming up.
Yeah. Vision of Empire is going to miss. Yeah, there's not a whole lot happening on the map right now. You know, we do have the Grubs and the Dragon both still alive. Ishan actually getting targeted right now as the Skarner is going to be able to take him actually out of the Swain's ultimate. But Yggdrasil is going to be able to flash forward to take down that Yone. Is successfully able to do so. But now Yonjin, perhaps in trouble, is going to sleep. The Skarner is going to get eeped by the Lilia. Is going to burn down to the pass of their Painless on a rampage. 4-0 now, actually, on the Lilia. Is getting really, really fed. 8-2 now overall. Omega Wooper in a great spot in this game, and they will finally be able to secure a neutral objective as well.
First one going down, and he just stayed 4-0-2 as a Lilia. That's got to feel great. You're sitting on a whole bunch of cash as well, just about 1,000, maybe grabbing, upgrading that boots, and you're going to be dancing and prancing around like there is no tomorrow. And I'm not sure how much lockdown is surrounding you too, just because, you know, the Skarner ult can really be the only thing that can really hard suppress you. So that Lily is going to be running rampages around here, even invading here towards the top side. Or the bot side, technically.
It's about a 3,000 gold lead already for Omega Wooper. That's pretty massive for this early on in the
Yes.
game. So they're definitely in a great spot. DJ Zeller still kind of struggling to press his counter pick advantage up here in the top lane. Is managing to stay pretty even in CS, but definitely has not really been able to pressure this Poppy whatsoever.
Yeah, that early Sheen here as well. As that chain vest just doing such a great job of drawing, in the damage, being able to sustain that, and really punching Garen out of lane here. And with no TP, I mean,
Oh,
when those trades
Yonjun.
happen,
Here
oh,
comes the Skarner. Kaniak gonna get stunned into the wall. The Flame Chomper follow-up I don't know if the Flame Chompers work there, actually. Kaniak Killer Instinct flash away. The Kaisa is trying to get away from this one. The burn from the red buff, actually, is what claims the kill. Yonjin on the board with his second on the Skarner. And a nice play there from the Shadow Cows to punish the Kaisa all on her own underneath that bot lane turret. They're going to get rewarded with some plates as well. On the other side of the map, of course, Painless able to secure the first round of Void Grubs. But the fact that they were taken so late means that there actually will not be a second round this game. We're just going to go straight into Rift Herald. So 3 Void Grubs, I guess, is nice, but not nearly as nice as if you had the possibility of getting that buff. Now Yone is in trouble. Ishan does have Flash, just came back off cooldown, is going to go for the ultimate, and the Flash does get him back to safety. So Ishan does have to burn everything there, but will survive the gank.
yeah, Sean falling to that horrible thing where you have to snap back to your body at some point, but a good job of using the mechanic, grabbing the ult, getting out of there, and really putting himself into safety. As I was watching back to those chompers, I'm not sure exactly how that interaction worked. I think maybe holding them till after the Skarner ult, but it looked like, Kaisa was trapped up, but unfortunately it's stunned as well. It was,
Ultimately, it didn't end up mattering. I mean, they just had enough damage to where, and yeah, like the CC was there from the Skarner ultimate regardless, so it was fine. They got the kill. The follow up with the Flame Chompers was pretty irrelevant in the end, so it was just kind of a bad call out from me. But all good. The side of the Shadow Cows able to successfully get that pick. One of the few picks they've been able to find so far in this game.
As we look towards topside, what do you think about these Iceborne Gauntlets here from Poppy?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Iceborne Gauntlet is pretty good here. It definitely feels pretty good into the Garen, because of course he does mostly physical damage, so the armor is gonna help out nicely there, and the fact that he relies so much on move speed as well to kind of run you down, the Iceborne Gauntlet's gonna help to mitigate that as well. Main carry for the enemy team is the Jinx also, so if Geyser doesn't manage to get on top of the Jinx at any point, the Iceborne Gauntlet ability is going to be great for that as well, to kind of keep the Jinx from running away. So, yeah, seems good. Why, would you have preferred something else?
No, I enjoy it. I'm a big fan of the Gauntlets while you're ahead, and you really have that, mobile, no dashing opponent. You can just, keep them right where they're at, basically, unless you want them to move somewhere else here. Poppy trading back and forth, not really even worrying about the tower, as enough armor on her is able to take them. Less than a minute here for Dragon. Do you expect a big giant fight here, like we've seen every time the objective has come up here for the Dragon at least? Or do you think they're going to be able to give this up and just say, all right, let's keep scaling here, we're a little behind, let's hold off on this one?
Well, I mean, clearly the setup is there for the side of the Shadow Cows. I mean, they have a lot of members in that southern river at the moment, and Painless, as we can see, actually, is making an appearance towards the top lane. So it does seem to me like the Shadow Cows are the ones playing towards the objective at the moment. We'll see if the side of the Woopers will decide to call an audible at any point here and make a rotation down to contest the Dragon, but that doesn't... I don't really see any indication of that right now, as Painless is just happily securing the Rift Herald instead.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to try to grab this towards Poppy and do the same thing that Zeller did game 1, and now Geyser is kind of in the driver's seat for that opportunity here. Nope,
Yeah.
we will be taking that.
So no teleport for either top laner right now. Dragon getting burned down. This will be secured. Kai'Sa W. Oh, that was a little bit scary for a second, but good smite from Yeonjun secures the objective. Double sleep does come out from the Lilia, but the Milio ultimate is there to deny that CC. Haley is going to get taken down first here. Ishan comes in with the Fate Seal, but only onto the tanky Skarner. Who does go for the ultimate, but then immediately does get cut down. Mega Death Rocket takes down the Lilia, and now Ishan is trapped. Has nowhere to go, is going to get shut down as well, and it's Yggdrasil who picks up the last hit on the Yone. Meanwhile, first turret, first brick was secured by Geyser in the top lane, but that's the objective, plus the team fight for Shadow Cows towards the bottom part of the map.
Yeah, fight, not quite going the way that they wanted it here. Yone, again, trying to figure out those ults, and maybe has to wait for, that guaranteed setup in order to hit that 3 to 4 man ulti, as we, would like to see him hit here. Haley, not having the prio target, as well as Milo doing a great job of taking that sleepy time and just throwing it out the window. Wake up, alarm clock, just blaring the horn out for everyone.
Wow.
No sleeping in.
I mean, little kids waking people up, it kind of checks out, right? It just thematically, it makes sense. That's actually something that we hadn't really had the chance to discuss yet, Gitano, but the fact that the Lilia was picked into the Milio is a little bit surprising, given the nature of that interaction that we just watched.
Yeah, there's nothing really else to help cleanse off here. From this side, so it's not like you have to worry about, hey, once this ultimate or, this form of CC gets haltered, now I can start to use sleep time, but, hopefully they have enough, a pick potential here. Haley just grabbing someone else, starting the fight, making it a 5v4, wait for, Milio to maybe panic hit in the form of, a Yo knockup or something like that, and then come in on top of that to use it here. So, not a lot of utility on that side that can really help clear out the Milio ult.
Very true. We did just see the Woopers secure that bot lane tier 1. They've been able to maintain their gold lead at around 3,000 here, but honestly, the fact that that gold lead has not moved for the last, 7-8 minutes is honestly kind of good news for the Shadow Cows. They're not falling any further behind. They got the last dragon. They're scaling up into this game. Jinx has her first item completed now, and they're absolutely still in this one.
Yeah, I agree. Not having that lead means you're not really pressing your advantage here.
That's pretty deep. Painless is going to get impaled by the Skarner. And the follow-up is there from Yggdrasil. Painless, trapped behind enemy lines, is not going to be able to get away. So the Demonic Ascension there from Yggdrasil finishes off that kill onto the enemy jungler. Another one on the board for the Shadow Cows.
Yeah, great pull there by the Skarner, finding Painless way too deep. Unfortunately, the rest of the team is able to gather around, snake back a kill here, and kind of put that Lilia to bed for at least
U3 into the Fate Sealed. Is this just a kill? Yggdrasil flashes away, barely will survive. Thank God.
Very, very close here. Just having the Malignus completed, not being able to pop the ult sustain, maybe really fight back at all at this point too. So Swain 4-1-2, great stat line, keeping up in the CS, 150 to 156. So not a lot of advantage here for that Yone in that mid lane.
That was Swain. Oh, DJ Zeller actually going to get taken down here as Geyser, nice charge into the wall, sets up. Nice movement from Caniac and Haley as well to collapse up towards that top side. They have sacked control over the mid lane, at least for now, as actually taking a look at bot lane for the moment, as Yeonjun trying to make a play here onto Ishan. The Impale still on cooldown for the Skarner, so not actually able to lock down the Yone in a meaningful way here, and Ishan's just going to be able to walk this one off. Meanwhile, Painless collected the wave in mid to keep that tier 1 turret alive for now.
Yeah, good job trying to get the Yone. Unfortunately, no wall to get knocked against. Swain not able to follow up as well, and no ulti by the Skarner. Means kind of just a nice little handshake trade back and forth here. 30 seconds for 2 objectives, Baron and the Ocean Dragon. I don't think Baron's going to be looked at, anytime soon by either team here. But the Dragon, I think this one will be the heavily contested, and the Ocean as well here for them. A lot of sustain.
Flash Haley. Ooh, that was nice trade of the Blitzcrank Flash for the Jinx Flash. Well worthwhile. Good move there from the Wooper support. And they're going to have Shelly as well to move into the mid lane, get some additional control, some additional priority as they set up for this first Ocean Dragon. Actually, Painless going to hop into the Herald and immediately crash into a wall. So, Painless clearly did sleep in, missed driver's ed, and that is a little bit unfortunate.
It's tough, when you have 4 feet, you have gas, brake.
Oh, true. I didn't
Clutch,
think
like
about that. Yeah.
it's tough, Plus, how are you going to be steering this as well? Like, you have the hands, but maybe too many cooks in the kitchen type of situation where you have too much to do. Shifts into third instead of first, and unfortunately not able to turn the ship around.
Fortunately, the 4 hooves were perfectly suited to taking down the dragon. So that is going to put the Woopers up 2-1 in terms of that dragon count. We do see the Shadow Cows securing some control around the Baron right now, but not actually going to threaten the take. Although I guess the Woopers don't necessarily know that.
Yeah, kind of guiding over there.
Oh,
just
that's
a
the
little bit
sleep in the
drowsy,
mid
though.
lane as Bustin is in trouble underneath the turret. The Jinx all alone, just going to get assassinated by Painless and Caniac. And now the collapse trying to come through here from the Shadow Cow. Silly Goofy tossing out the Amelia ultimate. It's DJ Zeller into the back line, takes down the Kaisa, and the Impale as well from the Skarner brings Painless underneath the turret. The Lilia will flash away, stays alive for now. Meanwhile, Yone goes into the back line. It's going to get a little bit of damage down onto the Garen, and then has to snap back to the body. So a close fight there, 2 for 1 in favor of the Woopers.
Yeah, a little bit of mispositioning there and a little lack of rotations, making sure the team is as one here. We're at this midpoint where a lot of teams are going to have 3 to 4 people kind of using that buddy system, making sure that vision is cleared and they are, kind of pushing up here. So as soon as you're caught out, great job using the sleep time. Kaisa as well. Great job following up for that, but unfortunately, no Melio, no wake. You're sleeping in. It's a Friday night. You stayed up to 3 a.m. playing League, and there's nothing you can do about it. You overslept. It's 10 a.m. 3 missed calls from mom, and now you're panicking.
These things do happen. It's okay. It's about learning from our mistakes, right? That's
I should be an
what we
expert
try
at
to
that
do.
point. I should have learned from a lot of them here. Personal
Hey.
experience.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Anyways,
Oh, no,
we do
Jinx.
have a little bit of a play towards the mid lane. Busted in trouble once again. No flash on the Jinx, but some nice peel coming out here from the rest of the team. It's actually Haley in trouble. The Blitzcrank going to get taken down. Yggdrasil unstoppable. The Poppy going to get charged back into the team as well. Yonjin, a nice redirect there with the Skarner, and Caniac taken down underneath the turret as well. A double kill over to Bustin's Jinx. And that is a big play for the Shadow Cows. They have just taken control out of this game, seemingly out of nowhere. They're onto the Baron. They're 5v2 on the map right now. Look at Ishan. He's already given up entirely on the plays, teleporting into the top lane to try and trade for the tier 2. Painless doesn't even have flash. The Lilia really has no chance to even try to steal this. It's kind of prancing around outside of the Baron pit anyways, but this is surely going to go down, and the Lilia might be next. I mean, let's see what the Shadow Cows do next here. They know that Painless is over there. They're just going to run him down. I don't know what the Lilia is doing over here in enemy territory. The Impale is going to completely whiff, though, from Yonjin. So that's not ideal. And now the Lilia is trying to at least take one with her, not quite going to be able to do so. So it ended up being a little bit expensive, more expensive than it needed to be. Including that tier 2, did get taken down by Ishan in the side lane. But overall, the Shadow Cows take the Baron, they equalize the gold, and they're now right back in this game. I mean, they are in a great position from here.
Yeah, less than 500 difference here between the two. And, Bustin, I thought he was going to be caught out there. There's not a lot of teammates, but they definitely corrected me for being wrong there. The whole team kind of swarmed in. Blitzcrank didn't have a great pull, has to pull the Skarner, not the situation that you want, and unfortunately gets slowed and caught up between it all. And they just keep on kind of filing in one after another, thinking that maybe they can turn the play, but unfortunately they just had to leave. I did like the TP by Yon. Your team's not going to be able to take the Baron. Grab something for it at least. Does go topside. And unfortunately, Painless really getting caught out and being a little greedy. Trying to run around there. Trying to do a hero steal at the Baron, but I don't think it was necessary.
All right. We've got our second Ocean Dragon spawning in about 20 seconds here, and the Shadow Cows in a much better position now than they were before. They're going to have control over the river for the time being. They're going to use a good chunk of their Baron buff to actually secure this dragon.
Vision here.
Oh, Painless is going to get stunned into the wall. The Chompers, again, not quite there to CC the Lilia, so Painless will survive. Oh, that's they're gonna find this. The Yone! He finds 3 with the Fate Seal. That's Kaniak into the back line as well. They take down the Melio. The Yonjin on the back line is gonna get burned down as well. Most likely the Skarner getting knocked up. Tries to pull the Blitzcrank. Yonjin actually still alive. Haley is down to about 50%, busted, and trying to kite out this Poppy towards the bottom half of the fight. Is eventually going to get taken down by Geyser, DJ Zeller, and Yonjin. Both are blinking health bars, and Painless smells the blood in the water, flashes over the wall, takes down the top laner. It's going to be 3 for 1 in the fight. The Wooper's back in the driver's seat, and Painless isn't done just yet. Yonjin's going to burn down to the Lilia passive. 4 for 1 in the team fight. Huge win for Omega Wooper.
Huge play there by Yone, just slicing and dicing it, picking up 3. Kaisa, killer instinct right to the back line there, picking up some kills, sparting back, that swaying all the way to the do not pass go, do not collect $200, has to get there super late, and Painless driving way back late in the fight, but being able to flash over, grabbing 2, picking up the Skarner, just swinging back and forth here. Both teams not holding anything back.
Yeah, right after that big punch from the Shadow Cows, I have to feel like they could have done more with the Baron there. Yes, you want to take the dragon, right? But you don't have to take it right on spawn. You have the Baron buff. Push the lanes first, gain control over the map, and then you can fall back to the dragon. You don't have to take it right away. I feel like that was really their key mistake there.
Yeah, they went for the shove right on that, right on Painless here. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough follow-up. Buster was not able to hit the traps there, really lock up the Lily, and the rest of the team was right there behind, so they are already on the back foot. Yone really smelling that and being able to get straight to the back line. That is why this champion is so dangerous. We've seen a couple of plays miss here and there, but it just takes one to really turn the tides for yourself.
Absolutely right. This game just swinging back and forth like a big old pendulum. Yggdrasil going for the Demonic Ascension in the top lane. Yone able to Fate Sealed himself directly into a Skarner, who stuns him into the wall. The double impale as well coming out from Yonjin. They take down the Yone. Painless pretty low on HP as well. It's a nice keeper's verdict to knock the Swain out of the fight, and Yonjin now is going to get taken down as the rest of his team was ejected by the Poppy there. So Geyser kind of salvages the play. But look at DJ Zeller down here in the side lane, just going to take the tier 2 for free, level 16 now for the Garen. It's a 4v4 on the map at the moment. No neutrals alive. That's pretty even overall, but the fact that DJ Zeller got that extra gold from the turret in the side lane means it is a little bit positive for the Shadow Cows in terms of gold.
Yeah, grabbing a little bit of CS lead here. Still 1-5-1, but doing mass amount of damage if left alone. No TP, but there's no worry, as you can just keep split pushing and making someone have to answer you, even if you have that response of the Poppy. Poppy now TP not being utilized here for the next couple of minutes here. We'll see what they end up doing. Baron, less than a minute here, 50 seconds. A lot of vision here by the Woopers, already down on top of it, so Cows will have to be careful. They're face checking, but there's no one there to really stop them.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of be able to walk in here. The Blitzcrank Haley is in the area. And Yggdrasil unafraid. Going to go for the Never Move, not quite going to find it. Void Seeker connecting there from the Kaisa, but it is, of course, the on-hit build for Kaniak. Not just playing for those Ws, really playing more for the auto attacks.
See the Poppy and Garen. I know early game Poppy was just kind of smacking Garen around and not really caring so much, but now we'll see if there is a difference here. Both sporting the red buff, guys are having the blue as well, can really spam those abilities, and I think it's really
Zeller's taking a beating. Look, he has to flash away. This Poppy is terrifying. Geyser's on the chase. DJ Zeller's running out of HP. He finally stacks the Conqueror, but it's going to be a little bit too late. Poppy solo kills Garen in the side lane 29 minutes into the game, and now Yone's going to whip the Fate Sealed once again. This two-man sleep comes out from Painless, though. And Jinx, though, busted, is excited, and it was super effective. massive. The Woopers routed in the team fight. It's a triple kill for the Jinx, and it's going to be the Shadow Cows onto the Baron.
Jinx with that 3-item spike. The IE coming in clutch there. Grabbing one reset and just continually smacking them around. Yes, you may have got Garen, but we got you right back here. Meanwhile, Kai'Sa in the mid lane trying to push. I like this idea. Try to get out of there quickly here. Dragon up in 30 seconds. And I believe everyone should be there before it spawns.
Gold still dead even this late into the game. 3 dragons, though, have been secured already by the Woopers. They could still play for the soul. They still have a chance here. They could resuscitate themselves at the Pokemon Center with the assistance of the Ocean Soul. But with Baron once again, will the Shadow Cows rectify their previous mistakes? Just play with the Baron, guys. You don't have to force the 5v5 at Dragon. Just push the lane. You have Garen. Well, I say that, but I guess he actually doesn't win against the Poppy, does he? So they will just force the Dragon. I guess that's fine. They're going to go ahead and burst it down. It's their first Ocean Dragon of the game. And they still have Baron for 2 minutes.
Yeah, Wooper saying this is not a do for dire for us. You can go ahead and take this. We're going to push a few other lanes, buy some time. Hopefully that Baron buff will wear off by the next time we meet here. But they are pushing quite far up here. Yona's not
going to find Caniac. Oh, I don't know how that never move missed. Honestly, that looked a little bit weird. But the zap will connect, and so will the ultimate from the Jinx. Boost and kicks. Takes kill number 8 there, and now with the excited Jinx, the side of the Woopers just have to run. They can't fight this 4-item Jinx with her passive active. I mean, that is just asking for your Nexus to explode. So they are going to be able to back away. They get everybody else out. Still 4 members strong to try and defend. Baron on for 1 minute, 15 seconds for the Cows.
Yeah, they're just going to push this in, and there's nothing really they can do to stop them right now. This Jinx being so giant. Beyond the Yone ult, which you still have, but are you going to be able to take this against Baron minions, Swayed in the back, and Melio being able to help? I think they can just keep pushing. Poppy may be able to win the 1v1, but you're going to win the 4v4.
Yeah, I mean, Geyser should probably try and get back to base. I mean, he's not going to be able to pressure the inhibitor turret. I mean, he can win the 1v1, like you say, but the Poppy is not exactly a threat for split pushing to victory. She doesn't have the attack speed. But the rest of the team's going to be able to hold. They're not going to lose their inhibitor turret. They didn't need Geyser there after all. The Shadow Cows are going to back away. They're not going to use that last wave of Baron buff that they had to work with. I didn't think they were going to be able to get anything out of it, so they're just going to go for the reset. And we do have pretty much identical spawn timers for the next Dragon and the Baron. Take a look at what happened with the blue buff. Ah, yeah. Just space gliding blue buff.
You know, sometimes he just wants to dance. He can dance if he wants to, you know?
I mean, he's basically like a big rock, right? He's got like some arms and he's like a rock with arms and legs. So you can it's kind of like Transformers, right? Where you can like pull the limbs in and it just start rolling. I think that's what we saw there.
Oh, a fight breaking out here. Poppy starting us off.
Yonjin chunked down to about 50%. That is, you know, that Skarner has a lot of health, and he lost half of it with like one Kai'Sa W and some Lilia abilities.
Found some fruit roll-ups on the side there, regaining back to health here. Maybe a super potion or a hyper potion, depending on how much health he has. Lilia, though, trying to get in
forward, gets the Q onto Yggdrasil, who does get forced into the Demonic Ascension. Meanwhile, in comes Yonjin, gets the stun onto the Blitzcrank. Haley is just burst down immediately, right at the start of this fight. Vision of Empire dodged away from by everybody. Meanwhile, in the top lane, DJ Zeller split pushing. He may not win the 1v1, but he definitely wins the 1v0. But with Geyser moving over here, Garen is going to have to vacate the area. So they continue to defend the base. The inhibitor turret line has not been broken for the side of the Woopers. In comes Skarner again. He's going to sleep, though, underneath the enemy tier 2 turret. He's going to flash away to try to escape, but the Yone actually goes down. The Jinx auto follows him all the way back to the body, and it's going to be the 1-for-1 in the fight. DJ Zeller getting run down right now. Trade of flashes between the top laners. Charge doesn't quite get the stun into the wall. Will it matter? Probably not. The Iceborne Gauntlet keeps DJ Zeller from escaping, and Poppy just clobbers him with the hammer once again.
What a fight back and forth. Their Blitzcrank going down once again, not finding the target here to really start off the fight. And that was a main point that we looked at throughout the entirety of it. But a Jinx, good job just kind of staying in the pocket, slamming home those auto attacks and really finding Yone, picking up the Skarner, but kind of trading back and forth here. Timers here, 13 for Yone, 10 for Jungler Zeller, still on 30 seconds here. Still will make it here for the Dragon, and this could be the end team fight here if it goes bad for one of these. Timers around that 40, 50 second mark too, hitting that 35-minute mark, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is it.
Control over the river right now for the Woopers. They have the man advantage as well, with DJ Zeller being the last to respawn from that last altercation. But like I mentioned before, these neutrals are spawning almost simultaneously. So with all this control the Woopers have in the bottom river, would not be at all surprised to see the side of Shadow Cows just move up towards the Baron. Yeah, they are going to see the Ocean Soul here. It's not the end of the world. I mean, they do have a pretty explosive team fight, so they're just not worried about the HP regen that the Ocean Soul is going to provide. And moreover, they didn't have the opportunity to move into that river to contest. So they're going to go for the Baron instead. How quickly does the Baron go down is the main question here. Very quickly is the answer. They are going to be able to secure that one. DJ Zeller on the front lines, silencing Geyser. The Poppy's going to back away for now. Teams, both 5v5. There's a wave in top for the Shadow Cows. They're just moving directly towards it. And the side of the Woopers are not in position right now to defend. They don't have the empowered recalls. The teleport comes out from Geyser to try to defend the turret, but it's already down. The inhibitor turret has already been lost. The inhibitor will be quick to follow. Good identification there of the wave states. Shadow Cows get an inhibitor basically for free off the back of their Baron take. And now they're going to get out as well. Oh, never mind. The rocket grab comes out. Skarner is in trouble. Yonjin tries to go. It's a 3-man impale. And that is going to be enough for the Shadow Cows to clean up the team fight. Bustin' is busting all over the Woopers here. Runs them back into the base. It's going to be 5v2 to try to close out the game for the Cows.
Great job pulling the Skarner. Skarner going, all right, all in here. And Jinx just rapid firing on the back line like there is no tomorrow. And there won't be here as they take it into the base.
The Demacian justice. Some sweet revenge for Zeller here at the end of the game. He doesn't get the better of Poppy. That was never the case. That was never going to happen. Poppy with the bigger one in the end. But not going to be able to hold the line against all 4 members of the Shadow Cows. Geyser goes down, and the Nexus will fall. The Woopers have win out, and the Shadow Cows have picked up their first win of the season.
What a back and forth this game was, just constantly pendulum swinging, as you stated earlier. Back and forth, back and forth. It took Jinx quite a bit of time to get ramped up, but as soon as she did, boy, we all got excited watching her. DJ Zeller, unfortunately, not having the game that he wanted here. 2, 8, and 5, 18k damage. Not a lot to talk about, but kept on being persistent, always pushing, making sure the Poppy wasn't there. And if the Poppy did TP away, he was at least grabbing something for that fight. So, there were some positive things about it, but not a clean victory, I'd say.
Certainly not. I mean, Geyser had quite the renaissance here in game number 2. Really had a strong showing up there in the top lane. 9-2-1 on the Poppy. It still lost the game. I mean, if that isn't the classic top laner experience, I don't know what is, right? That's just iconic for Geyser in this game. And DJ Zeller as well. It was kind of able to identify, I feel like, pretty quickly the fact that he wasn't going to be that useful in the team fights, generally speaking. So he was just playing for the side lane, right? A Geyser kind of felt that pressure. It's like, oh, I'm winning. I'm stronger. If we both show up to the fights, I'm going to have a bigger impact on the Poppy. Like, I'm going to be able to be the difference maker this game for my team. So Geyser was there every time to try and help out the team, win in the team fights. And DJ Zeller is like, That's cool. I'm gonna go hit your turret. Thanks. And that's just kind of how it went.
Yeah, Zildrasil as well, 23, KDA, 7-1, and 16, being a huge part of just face tanking everything up in front, doing a good job of making sure that he's disrupting, making sure the Blitzcrank doesn't have a clear target, as well as that Skarner. At the end of the game, I think Garen, if this was solo queue, would have definitely popped in chat, better top wins, clearly. um, but it took him quite a while. We saw great plays here by Ashan on that Yone, being able to pick up, 2-3 key members here in those fights. And, Kaisa being able to follow up. I see what they were going for. Painless as well, starting 4-0-2, ending 6-5-7. A little bit of a downplay here towards that mid game after the lane phase ended. Was a little lost in transaction, trying to figure out what to do here with them. But a great showing. A great fight picked up, but unfortunately that dragon play trading that, and then we saw the inside track here from Cows finding that bot inhib, and after that it just kind of really rolled downhill very quickly.
Yeah. There's not really like one moment that I can point to where it all fell apart for Painless and for the rest of the Woopers. I think that's a great call out, and Lilia by far did the most damage on her team, right? It was almost 37k. Second highest was actually Geyser's Poppy at just over 29k. So, yeah, definitely good, looks overall for Painless in this game. But, at some point you have to be like, when the Lilia is that fed, she should be able to transition that into a game win. So, I personally, I'm actually not really sure where it all went wrong. I mean, I'm thinking of like that one Baron play for the Shadow Cows where Painless was just kind of like needlessly in the enemy jungle afterwards and just kind of died for free. That wasn't great, but obviously in that situation, like that's already a tough spot for the Woopers. Like maybe they shouldn't have even been in that situation in the first place. Like, I don't know. I mean, it definitely, there were some moments for the Woopers in this game, but in the end, I mean, taking the 0-2 against the other team at the bottom of the standings here in Ionia has got to feel pretty rough, and definitely not how they wanted this one to go.
Yeah, definitely not how they drew it up, but I think kind of an unsung part, you mentioned this kind of early in the game, that they still were within that 3k lead of themselves after about 5 or 8 minutes of play, that there really wasn't any progress being made. When you have that solid lead, you need to be able to put the gas down, make the plays, be reactive, make sure that they come to you, but it just never happened. So I think that was a major point that kind of went silently through.
Yeah, I completely agree. It just kind of stalled out the lead for the Woopers, and the Shadow Cows in the end were able to find the angles that they needed to actually win out in the fights. They scaled up. Bustin got to that point in the game where he had, his 3 items on the Jinx. He was getting excited in those fights and just absolutely took over. So props to them, the Shadow Cows, for hanging on and finding the angles that they needed to. Last order of business tonight, Katano, is to award our Game 2 POG. Game number 1, we did give it to the DJ for the Mordekaiser performance. I think in game number 2, you could give it to anybody but DJ.
I mean, there's still an argument to be made. I'm
He
not
hit
sure how
those
strongly
turrets. He really did auto attack those turrets real good. You're
he
right.
did. It was a 1v1, and clearly the turrets lost because they were taken down. So
That's
um,
true. That's true.
I'm kind of caught between Yggdrasil and Bussin. They both did such a great job in facilitating what they needed to and kind of ramping them up to that mid game point here. But I think I'm gonna have to give it to Bussin. Just a great job of making sure he's in that position, making sure he's always behind his line, making sure Blitz never had a clean pull or a real target for him. Only really getting caught out by the Yone, but how much can you really anticipate a Yone jumping halfway across the map, grabbing you, and then jumping straight back?
I mean, that is kind of what he does. That is kind of his thing. But fair point, Gitano. I do agree. I think it's between the carries here for the Shadow Cows in the second game. But I am very comfortable to align with you on the Bustin vote. By far the most damage on his team at in the game overall at 47.5k on the Jinx. And once you get to that point in the game, once you get to the late game and the Jinx has her items, that's exactly what you want to see, right? She has good positioning in the fights. You get that first reset, and you just run over the enemy team. I mean, that's exactly how it's supposed to work. And Bustin made it work. very, very nicely, just exactly how it's supposed to. So good looks there, and good looks overall for the Shadow Cows. Big congrats to them on picking up this win. I mean, I don't think it's going to be enough to get them to playoffs. I'm pretty sure it can't be enough. Unfortunately, I believe they are the last team to take their bye in week number 7 as well. So there's just no way they get enough points to actually get towards that top 4 spot, unfortunately. But at least they got one on the board before all was said and done. So any final thoughts, Gaetano? Any closing remarks tonight before we shut out the stream?
I think Legally Blonde said it best. Bend and snap. It's just that easy. Yone did it. He bent, and then he snapped back. Bend and snap.
He sure did. Absolutely fantastic. Wise words. Thank you, Gaetano. That's going to do it from us tonight. So from myself, from Gaetano here, from Alls, from the entire team at Blue Water, thank you, everybody, very, very much for watching. I do, of course, have to call out tomorrow's action. We're going to have the Plat League. That's going to be same time, same place. Chunk Solmo, we had on earlier for Otter Talk. He is going to be your host and caster tomorrow night for Sun Lero, something like that, versus All In Esports Anguish. So be sure to tune in for that one as well, guys. From us here, thank you again, and good night.